mean you can't find me? There, I'm back. Hello. All right, I think we gotta do some spammage, folks. Gabrielle says, I will just guess and say that this is related to the tweets from a week ago. I actually didn't read the tweets. There's like a post on Reddit. That's what I read. It's much easier. And I don't go on Twitter anymore. I hate Twitter. Twitter's like the cesspool of humanity, and it's such a negative space. I've broken all ties with Twitter at this point. So I find Reddit to be far more encouraging and helpful. That's so what am I doing? Okay, I gotta spam people. Ooh, it's spammage time. Nixon, what's up, dude? Why do people think D&D is dead? They don't. It's what we're gonna guess what, that's what we're gonna talk about tonight. No, it's not dead. There are attention-grabbing ways to say things, and that's what folks are doing. All right, I have to spam really quick to my Discord because people love to be spammed. You know. Where's my spam channel? There we go. I found it. Ooh. D&D is dead. Oh, whoops. I left out a word. And I have the link. Beautiful. Spam people, send the spam now. Ooh. There we go. All right. There we go. Layton, what's up, dude? I haven't been on these streams in a while, but I also haven't played D&D in a while. I work 50 to 60 hours a week and barely have time to run errands. Dude, this last Sunday, I got up really early, and well, 4 a.m. is my normal wake time. So I was up at my normal wake time. Was I? No, I think I slept in. No, this last Sunday I slept in. I got up around 6:30, I believe, because I decided not to get up to my alarm at 4. So I got up at 6:30 on Sunday. So I slept in on Sunday, but I got up, and I have had. I need to clean my basement, basically. I have just boxes that are piling up. I buy stuff and then I keep the boxes in case I want to return them. Well, I had to clean those out. So the unfinished part of my basement needed the boxes all cleaned out. And because we're getting new flooring down here, so I have to like clean the other side so that I can move all this furniture over there and stuff. So anyway, I got up early-ish, late for me, I guess, on Sunday, and was doing, it wasn't an errand exactly, David, but it was a chore, a task that I haven't been able to do because I work too much. So I was just like, you know what? We're just gonna do this today instead of doing other stuff. It actually felt so good. I told my wife afterwards, I was like, yo, it feels really good to just do something like this, like clean my basement, as opposed to stare at my computer and work. It felt good to clean that crap out. And there's that sense of accomplishment. And you don't have that task hanging on top of your head too, you know. D&D is like a cockroach. It'll survive. Wizards of the Coast, it may fall. Well, or Hasbro, more than likely. Wizards of the Coast, if Hasbro gets into desperate straits, my guess is that somebody will buy Wizards of the Coast. They don't want probably anything to do with anything else Hasbro has, because everything else is bleeding money. But somebody will probably buy Wizards of the Coast, which is Magic the Gathering and D&D, right? And hopefully do a better job of it, of managing it. So I don't think D&D is going anywhere. I don't think Wizards of the Coast is going anywhere. But Hasbro is screwing the pooch in a lot of ways, so it might pass ownership to a different company. I hope you'll bring new information to the discussion that I haven't heard, because I'm getting sick of hearing about this guy. Sarah Fizz. I don't know. I'm gonna read the article and I'm gonna give my comments on it. You know, I see a lot of people. You know, the interesting thing is like most of the reactions that I have read or listened to about this are like in stark disagreement with all of his points, and they're like, "You're crazy," blah, 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 blah. And I'm reading what he's saying, and I'm just like, some of this actually makes sense. So I feel like I'm probably not going to side with like everyone else who's just saying, "You're crazy." I don't think I'm probably gonna land there. So I'm just gonna read through it. We're gonna talk about it. Yeah, just kind of chilled and relaxed. Paizo buys Wizards of the Coast. I don't know if Paizo has that kind of money floating around to buy all of, like, Paizo. Okay, so like there's Magic the Gathering, right, which is very valuable, and then you have Dungeons and Dragons, which is very much less valuable probably. So like, could Paizo buy both of them? Ooh, I don't know. I mean, you'd have to have some serious like investment cash, like some people back in your company that want to invest in it, you know. So, but I don't know. I mean, Paizo lost tons of their developers to Wizards of the Coast like a year plus ago or something. So, you know, if they want to get their developers back, maybe they just buy the company. Like, you stole our developers, we're taking them back. We're just buying your company. Well, yeah, Wizards of the Coast is Hasbro's golden goose. Selling it will be their final grasp for air. Right, yeah. But if the whole thing is tanking because they can't make money because they can't, because I don't know. All right, you guys want to start this? You guys ready to rock and roll? What's up, Freight Train? How you doing? Are you holding down the fort tonight, Freight Train? Is it all you? All right, man. Good luck. Selling it as a Hail Mary for Hasbro? Well, I don't even know if Hasbro, like, dude, if Hasbro sold Wizards of the Coast, they would be left with all of their IP that have been like tanking and making no money recently. Like, Wizards of the Coast is the only thing that's propping up the entire company pretty much. So if they sold Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro's just closing their doors. So I don't know, man. That's really, it's almost like you get somebody that would just, because if somebody buys Wizards of the Coast, like all the IP from all the Power Rangers and GI Joes and Transformers and stuff, I don't know. They might just get it all. It's probably not that much more expensive to buy their failing properties along with the successful ones, but I don't know a whole lot about that stuff. I'm just hypothesizing. All right, let's start this show up. Woo! There we go. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the live stream. Tonight we'll be talking about the news that the golden age of TTRPGs is over. It's all over, folks. You're gonna pack it in, close the doors, just go on home, empty out your bookshelves right now, get rid of all your books because it's over, baby. It's over. Actually, if it's over, you should cling to your books, not giving them up, because you'll never get any tabletop role-playing books ever again. The old golden age is dying and D&D is dead, and it's just abysmal. Anyway, tonight we're going to be talking about D&D historian Ben Riggs wrote an article. I found it on Reddit. We're going to be reading through what he wrote. His hypothesis, his title is "The Golden Age of TTRPGs is Dead." I'm going to be reading through that. I'll be giving you my thoughts as we read through it. I also have a video from another content creator that I was going to read. I was going to listen to a part of his video and give some comments on some of his opinions and stuff. So that's kind of what we got going on for the show tonight. We're just going to kind of meander our way through this topic and discuss some things and kind of chill. So that's kind of what we're doing tonight. And hopefully folks in chat can opine and give us some information as well, their thoughts on things and whatnot. I am not a crazy expert on this type of stuff. I just saw that it was making the rounds and I was like, I should probably talk about this because this sounds interesting. Somebody is getting the pump primed for another book. So we should probably talk about that subject to help them prime the pump, you know, so that when they release this book, everything will be all like nice and spicy and ready for them. That's my hypothesis. I think the pump is being primed for a new book release, which is fair. I mean, that's what you got to do. Like, books, best-selling books are best-selling because they sell, and part of selling is marketing them, and some pre-launch marketing is huge. So I have no fault there. It's just that's kind of like, I think I know what's going on here, which is cool. You know, gives us something to talk about, right? So that's what we're gonna be doing tonight. Buy multiple copies, sell them out of a van down by the river. Why is it by the river? So do you sell stuff down in a van by the river so that you can get like, it's buy a bridge down by the river? Is that so you can get like road traffic and boat traffic to buy whatever you're selling? Is that like the double prong or something for selling illicit goods or whatever? I don't know how that works. All right, before we jump in, we got a few things to talk about. First thing is that I am going to be at a convention February 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. It is called Level Up Convention. Oh, you know what I should do? I should have their webpage so I can show you the convention that I'm going to be at. It's in New Jersey. If you want to come hang out with me, you can come to this convention. Okay, so it's called Level Up Convention. There is a link there's a link in the description of this video. It's levelupevents.us. You can go here. I'm going to be here. It's in Woodbridge, New Jersey, February 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. I think I'm going to be on a panel, maybe. I think I'm running games. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. But I'll be there. I know I'll be there. So if I don't have anything scheduled, I guess I'm just there to hang out with people. I don't know, but I'll be there. I'm sure I'm probably going to run a game or something. They invited me to go, and I'm like, yeah, I'll go. Cool. So I think I'm going to be doing some stuff. So if you want to come hang out, it'll be cool, really cool. And you can get $10 off a ticket if you use the code DMLayer2024, and that information is all down in the description too. So I'll be there. It's like 2 weekends from now. It'll be cool. New Jersey, you guys. New Jersey at this time of the year. Is it crazy amounts of snow? Does anybody know? Is New Jersey just filled with snow at this time of the year? Like, that's like the New York area. It's like right next to like New York type of stuff. Does anybody know? Yes. Chris Farley, Down by the River. I loved those sketches. Those are hilarious. I am not looking forward to going to New Jersey, in all honesty. I don't like big cities. And yeah. So that is the thing. Like, when I was telling my wife about this, my wife was like, Luke, I don't think you should go to New Jersey. And I'm like, oh. She's like, it's New Jersey. I'm like, I know. If it were out like in a cornfield in like Omaha or something, like, I would be down for that, man. It's not full of snow? Really? It's not? Okay. All right, I just figured there'd be snow over there. Cool. I don't think they have anything to do with Level Up Dice. I have no idea if they're even associated with them. Somebody in chat was asking. I have absolutely no clue. No clue at all. Anyway. So anyway, you want to come there? Cool. Hang out with me. It'll be fun. And then the other thing. We're doing a giveaway. There should be a link in the chat for the giveaway. You can get $50 store credit on the dmlayer.com. We have like tons of D&D 5th edition and Pathfinder 2 resources for you over there. So tonight at the end of the stream, we'll be giving out that crap to a winner. You just got to sign up at the link in the chat. Wee. All right. Oh yes, we are raising money for All God's Children. So we're pretty close to being there too. So if you look at the bar, like let's go back to the camera. If you look at this bar right there, this is our progress goal. We were trying to raise $500 for All God's Children. And I can't read this, but I think it says $281.11 is where we are right now. And we're getting closer to our goal. We're like a little over halfway to our goal. Now, All God's Children, they do awesome things for children. That's why it's got children in the name. They help children through adoptions, international adoptions. You can support child-sponsored children, and they will help feed and provide education for children as well. I have 2 children that I am sponsoring through them. If I log in, I can show you them. But they're in Ethiopia, 2 of them. So you can sponsor children if you want. I'm raising money for them, so if you send a tip to me, and there's a link down in the chat, hopefully, where you can do the tipping. Freight Train, did you get a link down there for the giveaway, dude? Not the giveaway, the charity. It's charity. You can, all tips will go to them, 100% of all tips once we get our goal of 500. However, you can just go to their site as well and just support them if you want to, or you can sponsor a child, or you can just donate directly to like their general fund and stuff. It's all cool. If you don't want to give to me, and if you want to cut me out as a middleman, go right to them. I'm happy to do that too. The way I heard about these guys is they play a role in preventing human trafficking, which is something that which probably most people, except those who participate in it, probably don't like, right? So I don't like it. So that these guys fight human trafficking and help human trafficking victims is very important to me, and that's one of the big reasons I support these folks. So if you want to help with that, please feel free to do so. All right, and then we're just gonna read off the names of our awesome patrons, and we're gonna start talking about our topic tonight. So all of the awesome people that you see displayed on screen for you are my wonderful patrons. They help support the content we create, such as this live stream right here tonight. Our free videos, my stupid shorts that I make with the skits now. Oh, those are crazy. Those stupid shorts that I make with skits talking about dumb D&D stuff. Like, I don't know. They do better than my normal videos. Anyway, patrons help support all the free content. Over on the dmlair.com, we also have free 5th edition content as well, like magic items, traps, puzzles, adventures. Over on the dmlair.com, you can get a bunch of free stuff as well. These guys help foot the bill for that, so I'm deeply appreciative. My patrons also get our premium resource, Lair magazine, every single month, which is full of more 5th edition and Pathfinder 2 resources to use in your games. And these guys right here, they throw even more money my way, which gets them a name reading on the live stream. So I'm gonna do this. This list is getting too long. I'm gonna record myself reading these names and just play the video at the beginning of every live stream. Would that be cheating? Is that cheating? Would you notice? I think people would notice. All right, here we go. Aaron H, Agile Monk, Alex S, Alexander O, Alan D, Amanda W, Ambers, Angelique K, Anton K, Art Soccer, Ashley, Alucas, Beavis Khan, Beers in Space, Black Wolf, Brad M, Bradley H, Brendan A, Brendan P, Brian D, Brian O, Brian the Lion, Brian J, Carl C, Caddick Wolf, Chris C, Kristen D, Christine B, Christopher G, Colette H, Colin W, Connor D, Contrary Gravy, Corey A, Courtney H, Dazzled Up, David S, DeWolf, Dalen W, Dean B, Derek E, Derek K, Dice Goblin Wannabe, Dominique S, Don D, Dazim, Dungeon of Terra, Dutch, Ed R, Edward B, Edward L, Frabo, Endorian72, Eric B, Erno T, Philippe H, Gabriel T, Gene A, Generic Throwaway, George E, George R, Greg P, Guapo, GVTM, Hard Ungaled, Helltongue, HLD, Inari, Important, Iron Cascade, Jackie Pizza, Jake L, Jacob K, James C, James K, James L, Jan F, Jennifer M, Jeremy W, Herrig, sorry, Jim P, Joanne P, Joel A, John J, John the Wicked, John Pinkanos, Little Guy Wants Attention, Jonathan F, Jonathan S, Jonathan V, Jordan A, Jose, Host of H, Joseph W, Josh M, Joshua S, Joshua G, Juan, Kamata, Kanuka Sutopuki, Kevin F, Killsaber K, Kirby, Curryclaw, Laura L, Laser HVWTQ, Scion, Letter Mage, Lionheart, Linda, Loki, Lord L, Lear Bear Claws, Luke H, E, Matlock, Macy S, Magna. This is hard, guys. This is harder than you would think. Marcel C, V, Martin C, Matt S, Matthew C, Meepy, Michael G, Miroslav, Mitchell, Mo20s, Mordakin, Mr. Islander with glasses, Nerd over 900, Nicholas S, Nick H, Neareth, Old Man Mage, Paul B, Paul S, Petnik, Pivo, Porkchuck Bacon, Puppet Master, Quith Memlo, Randall C, Randy B, Rebar, Renner C, Richard M, Rob W, Robert C, Robin B, Ryan, Saul R, Sakura, Samuel H, WQM. There we go, I got it. Saul R, Saul S, got letters just floating around in my head right now. Sabaran, Shadow, Shane L, Simfan, Soul Bora Gaming, Son of a Sofa Man, Soul Knight, Stan the Man, Stephen G, Stephen G, I don't know, it's got an F. I don't know what to do with that. Stephen T, Steve S, Sturm, Tabletop Nerd, Tactical P, Tylna, Terry V, the Three Quarters Hospital, the Jackal, the Old DM, the Wookiee, the Fuzzle, Dubad Ombre, Thomas F, Thomas J, TK, Tom B, Travels the Lost, Trinity Series, T Warner, Tyler D, Tyler R, Unalloyed, Undying Warlock, Valagore, Vent Sans, Victoria Q, Vinny, Vladimir S, Waldo, Wesley K, William CXX Redrum, Yuli Y, Zachary J, Zombie Trami. Giddy up. I did it. I feel like I've just accomplished a whole lot. Alright, cool. Now we can talk about TTRPGs, big dead golden age over topic, which sounds fun. If you aren't cheating, you aren't trying. Meepy, what's up, dude? Well put, dude. If that list gets too long, I guess that's a good problem to have. It's the beginning of other tabletop games. Ah, yes, indeed. Indeed. All right, cool. Let's take a look at this. Let's deep dive into this article. So this is, what I'm going to be showing you is a post by Ben Riggs, who is a Dungeons & Dragons historian. He wrote the book Slaying the Dragon, I believe is the name of the book, if I remember correctly. I have it on my shelf. I read it. It's an excellent book, by the way. And let me show you my screen. Okay, so this is the post. This is on Reddit. You can find it. I have it linked down in the description of this video. So if you want to go read the post, you're welcome to do so. We're just gonna walk through this post. Now, I'm not gonna read it straight off from here. I have a Word document that I made notes on and stuff. So I'm actually gonna read it. I just copy pasted it. I'm gonna read it directly from here because then I have my notes side by side and it makes my life a little bit easier. And you guys can see my notes too. So we're going to read through this post and I'm going to comment on it as we go as well, because otherwise what's the point if I'm not commenting on it? All right, so the golden age of TTRPGs is dead. Too long didn't read. Many post-OGL TTRPGs have successfully launched. Yes. So you have the MCDM just did a launch. It was like, what, 3 million something? Pretty big crowdfunding platform, crowdfunder. You can't call it a Kickstarter anymore because they didn't do it on Kickstarter, which makes it awkward. So it was a big crowdfunder. Yeah, I think we're still gonna call these things Kickstarters, even if it was on a different platform, but whatever. So they did, MCDM did one, Cobalt Press did Tales of the Valiant, and then we have Dungeon Coach is doing DC 20. His Kickstarter is gonna come out early this year sometime. He hasn't told me when. Which Dungeon Coach should tell me when he's going to kickstart his TTRPG game, DC 20, because I told him I'd help get him some attention, and I'm already planning out videos for March and April right now, so he'd better tell me something soon. Anyway, moving on from that, Dungeon Coach, if you're listening, what else? We have Critical Role is doing Daggerheart. I'm sure they're going to kickstart that thing or backer kit that thing, whichever one they go with. I don't know. Does anybody know when Kickstart or when Critical Role is planning on crowdfunding Daggerheart? Like, when is that supposed to happen? They got to have it. When's that going to be? They're probably going to use backer kit. When do you think that's going to be, you guys? Has Critical Role said when they're going to do Daggerheart? And they have Candle Oscura, which is already out there, I believe. I'm pretty sure that already exists. And they were playing Candela Oscura on a couple of their streams too. From my understanding, they played a couple games with it. Kickstarter has gone the way of the Hoover vacuum and just become synonymous with the action it represents. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Does nobody know when Critical Role is gonna do their Daggerheart Kickstarter? Are you serious? Do I have to Google search this? I gotta go to like ChatGPT. Oh my goodness. Daggerheart will be a while. They have several rounds of playtesting to do. Oh, so okay. So they probably haven't said anything yet. I still don't understand the point of Tales of the Valiant. It's just a 5e clone. Just play 5th edition if you want to and not spend more money on the other stuff. Okay, our family, do you want me to tell you why they did that? I will explain to you. So I will explain to you exactly why Cobalt Press created Tales of the Valiant. I will tell you exactly why. Because the criticism that my understanding is that they're receiving is that it's a 5e clone. I have like their initial like alpha or their beta or whatever because I backed the project, and I glanced through it, and if you hadn't told me that it was a different game system, I would have thought it was D&D 5th edition. But it wasn't. It was Tales of the Valiant. And so other people are saying that it's a clone, that it's super similar, there's hardly any distinguishing thing about it, blah, 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 whatever. You could, whatever. It's not, I'm not criticizing that. I'm simply stating it, which I think is true to my understanding of it. And I'm going to tell you why they did that. Publishing Tales of the Valiant, in my opinion, in my educated guess, is that it is a 100% cover your butt move, a CYA move, 100%, 100%, 100%. Cobalt Press, a lot of their, I don't know, I'm not familiar with their entire product catalog, but a lot of their products are 5th edition products. Tome of Beasts 1, 2, and 3, Creature Codex, and they've probably got adventures and stuff that they publish that's all 5e compatible. And what the OGL did is it put the fear of sleazy businessmen in everybody's heart. And so can you imagine what would happen to a company like Cobalt Press if their entire line of products is suddenly legal questionable whether they can even continue publishing and selling it or not? Can you imagine their entire company, like the massive foundation of it, is based upon 5th edition products? And the OGL scandal, debacle, was that they could pull the OGL out from underneath everybody, and you might not be able to continue publishing your books and your products. And so Cobalt Press wisely was like, we cannot let our entire business stand upon the hope that Wizards of the Coast like tries to redo this sleazy move later on down the line and take away the OGL. So what they did, like, oh, this is what we're gonna do then. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna make our own TTRPG called, it was Black Flag at first, and then now it's Tales of the Valiant. We're gonna make our own TTRPG, and it's gonna be essentially 5th edition, which means that all of our published material so far is compatible with Tales of the Valiant. So we can basically create our own game system that's a 5th edition clone. All of our product catalog is compatible with the new system, Tales of the Valiant. Therefore, if the OGL thing ever really happens, what we could do, and they're probably publishing under the Orc license, they could do then is they could pull their product catalog and essentially, with minor tweaks and changes, slap on there that it is now, it's not a 5th edition product, it's a Tales of the Valiant product, and it's compatible. They put the Orc license on it and crap. I'm guessing that's what they were doing. That's my guess. To help protect their business, you know, so they could their back catalog couldn't just be like, you know, nullified overnight or through legal battles of the OGL. That's my guess of what they were doing. I might be wrong, but it seems to make sense that that's what the whole idea was. So, and let's go back to the article though. So that's my 2 cents on Tales of the Valiant. Little guy, you gotta calm down. Not rubbing your belly. All right. So they're talking about these TTRPGs that successfully launched. Their success will splinter the TTRPG community, ending what has been a golden age in the hobby. It will splinter the community, ending a golden age. So this is his like summary. This is his hypothesis right here. Okay, I'm just gonna read and we're gonna comment. We are watching a bright and special time in the industry pass away before our eyes. Around the start of the 2010s, we saw the dawn of a new age of tabletop role-playing games. Since then, huge numbers of new players have found the hobby thanks to Stranger Things and actual plays like Critical Role. Yes, this is super, super true. Like, tons of new players have come in. Stranger Things played a big deal in it. Critical Role did. Obviously, you have tons of people on YouTube and other places that are just drawing tons and tons of attention to 5th edition D&D. And that's important. And that's a point we're going to get back to later on as we read through this article. Because you have tons and tons of, here's the thing, when you have movies, when you have Critical Role, when you have YouTuber people, and lots of other people that are essentially promoting Dungeons and Dragons, then that is going to just bring in more and more customers for D&D, for Wizards of the Coast. And so when you have that many people all flocking around one game system, it's going to elevate that game system, right? Bring in more customers for it. These new fans discovered a vibrant and thrumming TTRPG industry. There was the D20 fantasy family of games dominated by D&D 5e, but rich with other games published under the OGL, and the fertile depths of the old school renaissance. There were other mainstream publishers with storied brands such as Call of Cthulhu, Deadlands, and Shadowrun. Lastly, there was a flourishing indie TTRPG scene that revolutionized what a TTRPG was, such as Apocalypse World. Okay, so we got this whole industry going on, 5th edition, and all these ancillary game systems, right, that have all the people that play them. So this is the golden age, right, where everything is just booming and everybody's playing different games and stuff. That's the idea here. This influx of gamers created a rising tide that lifted all boats. Yes, that is very true. That is super, super true. Tons of gamers come into D&D 5th edition. If you were creating content for D&D 5th edition, like my team and I do, then that gives you a massive customer base that might potentially buy your products, right? And so that helps you. That helps you a ton. Novice gamers started out playing D&D 5th edition, yes, but went on to discover other great games. Because of the OGL, countless companies and designers could make money creating for D&D 5th edition. That's huge. That's huge. I think we're gonna get back to that a little bit later on too, because like my entire company is based upon the OGL essentially. Not all of our products. We just did a Kickstarter or Secret Art of Game Mastery that doesn't use the OGL, doesn't need to, because it has nothing to do with D&D 5th edition. It's like generic, but many of our products use the OGL, and like that's, without that, you know, we wouldn't be able to publish content for D&D. And if we didn't create content for D&D, you know, we could create it for like some other smaller system or something, but then you don't have that. When you publish content for D&D 5th edition, there's this massive customer base that might buy your product, right? Or if you publish it for Pathfinder 2, there's a large customer base that might buy your product, right? But if you can't publish content for large existing customer bases, what do you got to do? You got to like try to find your own customer base, right? Or make your own game system and hope that it catches and try to convince people and stuff, right? And if you don't already have an existing following or a customer base established through something else, that can be very, very difficult. Like for instance, if you look at MCGM's Kickstarter, right? And they made big, huge, they were like, what, almost 30,000 people or something that backed that thing, right? Why? Because Matt Colville has a massive YouTube following, that he has an established customer base and fan base to be able to do Kickstarters like that, right? And how did he get that massive fan base? It was primarily from creating content for D&D 5th edition, right? And I'm in the same boat, you know? And so D&D 5th edition allowed the YouTube channel, which grew the fan base, which now he can launch this massive Kickstarter, right? To crowdfund his new game. However, imagine if you, Joe Schmo in your home, right, wanted to create your own game system. All right, you can create your own game system, but are you going to be able to get 30,000 people to crowdfund the thing? Probably not, unless you are a known entity, unless you are already somebody that has a following, or you're a recognized important person in the industry. You know what I mean? But if you're just Joe Smo at home, who's like, let's say you're in their 40s, and you're like, dude, I want to make my own game system because nothing really fits what I want to do. Like, how are you going to get 30,000 people to back the thing, right? Well, it's a long path. You start a YouTube channel, grow a following, I don't know, right? And so there's something to be said here. Because of the increasing number of gamers, even strange, freaky, or weird TTRPG ideas could find an audience. Have you heard of Apollo 47 Technical Manual of the RPG? I guess we have now. But recent development, who in chat has heard of that? Probably he found like the most obscure one, I suppose. Zolgathor is Joe Schmo. All right, we have Joe Schmo's in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. But recent developments make it clear that this radiant golden age is ending. As surely as the steam engine ended the age of sail. There are actually lots of sailboats out there, but they're not like super like popular and stuff. right? It's a hobby as opposed to like the method of getting from point A to point B on the ocean. Or hobbits bearing a ring ended the third age of Middle Earth. I'm pretty sure Middle Earth is supposed to be capital. The second word is supposed to be capitalized. Pretty sure. Do that. Beautiful. Okay, so the idea then is that this massive golden age is going to end somehow, right? Like this popularity of D&D and all these other game systems is going to come to an end. And I guess what that means, well, I don't know. What does that mean? What does it mean that the golden age comes to an end? I guess that's part of the question that we need to seek to answer, right? Because to say the golden age is coming to an end is a sweeping statement, but what does it actually mean? Does it mean that you have fewer people playing TTRPGs? Does it mean that all the different companies that are able to exist die out? Does it mean that 5th edition gets smaller, but other game systems get larger? Like, there's a question about what that actually means, right? You own a pollo with the number 47 printed on it? Tienes un pollo con 47. Okay. I just had pollo for dinner. It was delicious. We grilled. We also had ribs. It was very nice. The doom of our time approaches. That's a good, like, that's almost a good title for a video, right? In the wake of the open gaming license scandal of this past winter, a number of companies have successfully launched new TTRPGs intending to move them past the possibility of Wizards of the Coast ever threatening their business again. That's the thing. That's what WotC tried to do last December, January. They tried to revoke the OGL to essentially make it so that nobody else could make money off from D&D, off their IP. And, you know, if it's your IP, you could say, well, that's fair, but they've also had a license that's been in effect for 20 years, 10 years? I think it's 10 years. I think it was made in 2010. So they've had the OGL in place for 10 years. It was called irrevocable, right? And all these people make these things and they try to pull the rug out from underneath everyone. So they pulled some pretty horse crap moves. And the whole point is they were greedy. They wanted a bigger slice of the pie. They didn't want anybody else to be able to make money off from D&D 5th edition. And so they wanted to pull the OGL and take like a cut, essentially. You had to sign this like crazy contract and stuff. The new one that they wanted, the 1.1 or whatever that they wanted. But that was their goal. That was exactly their goal, to prevent anyone else from threatening their business again. And like, as someone who runs a business now that publishes content for role-playing games, I can tell you that if we had to pay, if a company who makes over $500,000, that was what their threshold was, has to pay a certain percentage, like even if it's 10% or 20%, and it's almost assuredly off the top, because they're not going to pay for a third party. Nobody's going to have a third party auditor go and, oh gosh, it's just a mess. It'd be off the top, I'm sure. And you got to like share your tax returns with them or something. You got to share your P&Ls with them, or I don't know. How would you do that? I don't know, man. Anyway, they wanted to take a cut. And so if you make over $500,000 and somebody's taking a 10%, 20% cut, dude, your business can't grow. Like, you can't grow past that. You know, you're essentially handicapped at the knee. You're just like, boom, your knees are cut out. You're done. You know, your legs are cut. So that would totally incapacitate you. So that was their goal. That was 100% their goal. All right, some of the games grossed millions in crowdfunding campaigns. Yep. Oh, you had Shadow Dark too that did pretty well. And then there was another old school Renaissance one. I forget what the name of it was. I know I met the dude who made the thing. I forget what it's called though. My bad. All have been positively reviewed. All right. Zolgathor, that is a very nice term. Incrapification. We will go with the family-friendly reading of that. Incrapification. Oh, okay. Some cite the success of these games, which are intended to replace 5e OGL content for the companies involved, as signs of the continued health and growth of the TTRPG industry. Right? Because you have, so instead of everybody just playing D&D 5th edition and D&D 5th edition being king of everything and getting all the customers and stuff, if you have multiple games systems that are now going, like MCDM and Shadow Dark and Tales of the Valiant. And you would say that, well, the industry is getting healthier, right? Because there are more games. There's more people and more games, right? Which I guess makes sense. His hypothesis, what he purports, is that they're not. Those are not signs of success. They are signs that the industry has peaked and may be about to enter a decline. I don't think you can. How can you say the industry has peaked? You know, this is interesting. So stock market, think stock market. So people want to be day traders, and like, it's easy, right? Like, you look at a graph of stock going up and down and you're like, this is easy, guys. You want to sell when it's in the valley. I'm sorry. You want to buy when it's in the valley, and then you just wait for the peak, and that's when you sell, right? And they'll show you a historical graph and explain it to you, and you're like, oh, this is easy. I can day trade and make millions, right? The trick is you never know when the peak is. Like, it's almost impossible to determine when the peak is. You know, like passive portfolios outperform actively traded portfolios, like almost always, because nobody can predict this crap. Now, I'm drawing an analogy, right? But like, how do you know that it's the peak then? Because you have other game systems springing up. Like, other game systems have been springing up all the time, right? Like, you have Pathfinder 2, you have Shadowrun, all of these other major games, Dungeon Crawl Classics, Castles and Crusades. Like, you have games all over the place. They're all over the place. But yet it didn't peak. The industry didn't peak 10 years ago, did it? So why now? So now we have more games being successful, and yet somehow that means the industry has peaked. I don't think that computes. I don't think that totally computes right there. Games have been popping up for a long time all over the place. So this logic doesn't follow to me exactly. All right, but why? Let's see what he says. After the open gaming license crisis of 2023, I became pessimistic about the damage the attempt to kill the OGL had done to our hobby. Others told me the result of the crisis would be blooming of 1,000 flowers, which is what happened, right? Everybody wanted to make their own game system so they would never be threatened again by Wizards of the Coast. Discouraged from using 5e by Wizards of the Coast's attempt to kill the OGL, we would all get amazing new RPGs, which is what's happening. We're getting tons of new RPGs. Like, everybody and their brother was like, we're not using 5e anymore, we're making a new game, right? And we have lots of that happening. That's true. Somebody says it's like Coke. In the South, they ask, what kind of Coke do you want? What kind of D&D do you play? Yeah, it's kind of like, I think Bob Worldbuilder did a video several months ago about D&D, and the part of what he was saying in the video was, what is D&D? Like, if you're playing a fantasy role-playing game, that's D&D. I don't care if you call it Pathfinder 2 or Dungeon Crawl Classic, it's D&D, it's all the same thing. Like, who cares? Like, why do we get bent out of shape about this term, right? It's just like, what kind of D&D are you playing? Are you playing Dungeon Crawl Classic? Are you playing Pathfinder 2? Anyway, we're getting lots of new games. We've been getting lots of new games for a long time. They're just really in your face right now. They're just much more in your face, it seems like. Maybe every single one of these new TTRPGs is going to be amazing. They're going to be amazing for some people, and other people won't like them. That's just the nature of it, right? Especially as you get more weird or niche or something, right? Some people are going to love them, other people won't. Maybe every single one will be so fun and so captivating that lawns will go unmowed. Pets unfed. Oh, pets unfed. You guys want to see a pet? Check this out. Check this stuff out. Not that one. Not that one. I don't know if you can see it. That's my dog right there. This is my dog in her bed. She has a diaper on tonight. I don't know who remembers this from the last live stream. Do you guys remember when she pooped on my floor on the live stream? Well, now she has a diaper. Now she has a diaper. So I don't gotta worry about that stuff anymore. Solutions to problems. Who remembers that? The jackal remembers it. Yeah, baby. Yeah. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, we are raising money for All God's Children. If you'd like to donate, we're a little over halfway there. There's a bar over to the side. We're trying to raise $500 for All God's Children. They help children who are struggling. They help them with education, with food. They work with institutions as well to help prevent things from happening to children. They work with human trafficking victims as well and help them in the aftermath of horse crap that should never happen to a human being. You can also sponsor children. I sponsored 2 children through All God's Children. If you'd like to sponsor a child, you can go to their site. If you want to just donate through tipping, all tips, we are trying to raise $500. We're going to do it through tipping. If you want to donate, you can do it by sending me a tip. And then when I get to $500, we're going to donate $500 to them. So you can do that if you want as well, or go directly to your site. But we're trying to get to $500 for these folks. They're doing lots of good work for children out there. So I am supporting them. We also have a giveaway going on, you guys. We are going to be giving away $50 in DM Lair store credit at the end of the live stream. So if you want to get in on that, there should be a link down in the chat. Freight Trainer Goliath Cleric will throw it down there for us, and then you can enter the giveaway. We'll draw the winner to that at the end of the stream. Also, if you're going to be in the New Jersey area, February 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, I'm going to be at the Level Up Convention, probably on a panel, I think, maybe playing some games. I don't know. We haven't figured it out yet, but I will be there. I know that much for sure. So you guys can come hang out, say hi to me and stuff. It would be fun to meet folks if you're in the New Jersey area. There's a link down in the description of the video for their convention, and there's a code down there too. You can get $10 off a ticket if you use, what is it, DM Lair 2024. So all right, come to New Jersey. I think it'll be fun. I don't know, I've never been there, but I don't think I've ever been there before. All right, let's go back to my thing. Where was I going? Where's I at? Ooh. All right, let's continue with the reading of the article. All right, here we go. The problem, and this is where I start to have some actual thoughts. Like you might notice I didn't have a whole lot of notes. Now I have some actual notes and thoughts on some of this stuff. The problem is the TTRPG business is devilishly difficult. Only very rarely does the creation of a phenomenal game actually lead to financial success. That is crazy true. Crazy true. It is super hard to succeed in this industry. Like look at like the thousands of people who put stuff up on DriveThruRPG or DM's Guild. How many of them are bringing home $100 a month, right? There probably are few that are making over 100, and even fewer that come anywhere close to making enough to support themselves, right? Making in this industry is super hard, super hard. And this is for people, many of them are creating content for D&D 5th edition, which has a massive customer base. So imagine if you have a massive existing customer base and you're creating content geared toward those customers, and most people are not able to be successful doing that. What happens, right, when you have your own game system that you just made and you're trying to like make products for that and trying to get customers for that? Or what happens when there are, many different game systems and the customers get divvied up among all of them, and then if you're making content, for instance, for, Dungeon Crawl Classic, well then there's only so many customers for that. Whereas if you're making content for D&D 5th edition, there are a lot more customers. So part of the idea here is that I think what he's driving at, I believe he'll probably go into some more details later. What he's trying to say is that more and more game systems that you have, the customers, the number of people that play TTRPGs get spread out among them. And so there are fewer people playing each of those games, right? You're probably still going to have giants like D&D 5th edition, and then Pathfinder 2 is probably going to always be big, right? And then you might have others that rise and fall. But I think what he's trying to say is that the more game systems you have, the smaller the customer base for each. And so the harder it is for those companies making those game systems to succeed. But it's also hard for like people like I don't have my own game system, and lots of other people don't have their own game systems. We create content for existing game systems. But when the customer base gets spread out, it's harder to get those customers because they're playing a game system that I don't create content for. And I will tell you, like we create content for 5th edition and Pathfinder 2. That's what we make content for. And it is hard. Like when we were doing 5th edition, it was like, okay, cool, we got this. And then when we started doing Pathfinder 2, wow, the workload was crazy. Because when you take something you make for 5th edition, you got to convert it to Pathfinder 2. That's a lot of work. Tons of work. The overhead, like, it doesn't quite double, but it comes close. It's a lot, right? So imagine, I've had people ask, Luke, are you going to convert your stuff to this system or that system or that system? And I'm just like, how? You know, because it's hard. It's very, very, very hard. And succeeding as a company in this industry is very, very, very hard. Like there aren't that many people that make full-time incomes just for themselves in this industry, running their own company, right? And there are even fewer that can build a business out of it and that's larger than just supporting themselves. You know what I mean? So it's hard. And so what he's saying here is very, very true in that respect. Okay, I gotta change I pushed the wrong button. There we go. Let's go back to the article. Andrew Downing. I'm gonna call you out right now, man. That's heresy. If Disney buys Wizards of the Coast, they'll just destroy the brand. They'll destroy it. Everything Disney, like, if Wizards of the Coast buys Disney, it'll be just the death of everything we know. Did you see what they did to Star Wars? Did you see how they destroyed the franchise? It's like the touch of death, man. I don't know. And Disney's movies are all failing. Disney has certain agendas, it seems like, that aren't going well with them in the box office, and everything they're touching is kind of turning to crap. So please don't let Disney touch Wizards of the Coast and D&D and Magic the Gathering. That would probably not be good at all. Yeah, let's not talk about that. It's like a nightmare scenario. All right. Continuing. TTRPG business is very difficult. And the death of the OGL and the creation of these games, that's all of the different games that are springing up, such as MCDM and Daggerheart, has fundamentally changed the industry in such a way that it'll be harder for those companies to make money in the future. A difficult business is about to become more difficult. All right. So part of one of my notes I have over here is that if you're making your own game system, so let's take a look at Goodman Games for a moment. So Goodman Games publishes Dungeon Crawl Classic, but that's not all they publish. They also do classic remakes of Dungeons and Dragons classics. Like, for instance, Temple of Elemental Evil, Goodman Games remade that, right? And so you can go out and get that for 5th edition. And so Goodman Games, they have their own Dungeon Crawl Classic, but they also make titles for 5th edition. And so my point is that if you are a company that is trying to establish yourself, if you have your own game system, you can create content for 5th edition to make revenue, make money, and get customers essentially, and then they might try out your game system as well. You're establishing customers, you're establishing a following by selling to an existing customer base 5th edition, and then they might try out your game system. They might take a look, right? That's a possibility. And so this is part of what I think he's saying is that, or at least one of my takeaways from it. I'm pushing the wrong buttons. I'm trying to get you over to the screen over here. It says harder for those companies to make money in the future. And my note is that if you're a company that's trying to get on in the industry, you can make money on 5th edition, even if you're selling your own game system and trying to get that kickstarted, jumped up and going. All right, consider the state of the industry a mere 18 months ago. Countless publishers from MCDM and Kobold Press to Wizards of the Coast were all making 5e material. Yes, but they were also making tons of other material. People were making material for Pathfinder 2 and Dungeon Crawl Classics. Like people were making, not everybody, but they were making material for other game systems as well. Are many of those people that were formerly just doing 5th edition content branching out to other things? Yes, that is true. That is happening. MCDM is kind of like, and they're doing their own thing now. Like they're just walking away from 5th edition D&D, right? And he's running his own game system. And he's going to talk about that a little bit more in this article, and we will deep dive a little bit deeper onto that topic. So it was easy to purchase products from multiple publishers because if you were running 5th edition, you could use the work of all these companies at your table. This made it easier for companies to share customers. This is a reoccurring theme, the idea of sharing customers. Okay, like if most people are buying 5th edition, that means that companies can capitalize on the fact that there is an existing customer base, and it's that much easier to, instead of having to pitch them a brand new game, I can just say, hey, you're playing 5th edition? Cool. I make adventures. You want to try some? They might try some. They don't got to switch an entire game system. Switching it to a different game system is a large undertaking, lots of work. And even if the game master wants to do it, they got to get their players to do it too. And I'll tell you, man, I have a group that I kind of want to switch game systems, but they're all kind of wanting to do the one thing. And it's like, well, you know, what are you going to do? You know, I guess just keep playing what we've been playing because I'm the only one that doesn't like this game system that we're playing. You know, so it's hard to switch game systems. But if you've been buying adventure packs from Paizo, and then there's a third party that's creating adventure packs, like I create adventures for Pathfinder 2, like it's easier for me to say, hey, I know you buy things from Paizo, but maybe try out some DM Lair PF2 adventures. Maybe you'll like those too. That's an easier sell than saying, I know you like Pathfinder 2, but come play Dungeon Crawl Classics or come play DC 20 or something. It's a harder sell to switch a game system. But sharing customers on the same game system, much easier thing to do. And that's the point he's making here. And it's a very, very valid point. Okay, we got that paragraph. We're on to this one here. The new TTRPGs birthed by the OGL crisis are about to make that sort of customer sharing much, much harder. Yes, we've been talking about that. I probably do not have to reemphasize that again. MCDM is publishing a TTRPG where you roll 2d6 to hit. Pathfinder 2nd Edition Remaster has no alignment and changed ability scores. Critical Role has dropped 5e like a dead cockroach and is playtesting its own new fantasy game, Daggerheart, which uses 2d12s, and a horror game named Candela Obscura. Critical Role hasn't stopped playing 5th edition, for the record. They'd still play it, I believe, in... What season are they in? What's the season they're in right now that's not doing super great because it's like 5 Chaos Gremlins and 1 person who takes the game seriously? Is that season 3? What are they in right now? Season 3, season 4? I don't know. They still play 5th edition. Season 3, thank you. They still play 5th editions. That's not entirely true. They haven't dropped like a dead cockroach. And I'm pretty sure that Critical Role is still publishing. They're still putting content on D&D Beyond. They still have some sort of working arrangement with Wizards of the Coast. So I think saying that they've dropped like a dead cockroach is a gross over-exaggeration. They are not putting all of their marbles into one basket is what they're doing. Like, for instance, when the OGL happened, my company, we decided to start publishing for Pathfinder 2. We don't want all of our marbles in one basket. That's a dangerous thing. Like, if the OGL happens for realsies, we would be screwed. So why don't we also publish for a different game system for people who are a little bit nicer, you know, and talk to us and stuff and are kind of cool. That's a smart move. So Critical Role, it's a smart move not to have all your marbles in one 5e basket. So now they're doing some Daggerheart and they're doing some Candela Obscura. That's a smart business move. You don't have to. So like, just because you want to branching out into other parts, other game systems, doesn't mean that you're necessarily totally forsaking an existing one. And especially if you have a money maker, you don't just cut that off at the knees and leave it to die on the side of the road as you go after 2 prospects that may or may not make you any money. That's a stupid business move. Like, why would Critical Role just like decapitate 5th edition from what they do and pursue Daggerheart and Candela Obscura full bore? Like, that's foolish. No, keep doing the 5th edition, build your Daggerheart, build your Candela Obscura, grow those babies. And if the day comes that Daggerheart and Candela Obscura and whatever else you're doing is doing just great, and then you can just say, now we're done with D&D 5th edition, great, now you can do it. That's a smart way to do it. It's like, you don't quit your day job to do a side gig that may not be successful. You keep your day job while you build up your side gig until it can replace your full-time salary. Like, that's the smart way to do it. And so anyway, that's a gross over exaggeration is what happened right there. And of course, there is the Rising Godzilla that is 6th edition D&D. Now, let's... Come on. Wizards of the Coast PR has made it very abundantly clear that it's not 6th edition, it's not 5.5, it is just 5th edition. They're done with the editions are over, this is just 5th edition. They've made this very clear in their marketing material and their PR statements. Okay, there is no 6th edition. It's not 5.5. It's just 5th edition. It's all the same. It's either 5th edition 2014 or 2024. That's it. End of editions. They've been very clear about that. Now, whether you drink that Kool-Aid or not is up to you. But anyway, I can't help but poke fun at that every time I can. Anyway. The Rising Godzilla that is 6th edition D&D, which scientists say will attack our shores in the spring of 2024. Aren't they still playtesting? Aren't they still putting out? Okay, anyway. So far, there is no hint of an OGL for whatever that game will be. However, there's no hint of an OGL, but guys in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that when Kyle Brink was doing his apology tours, that he said that 6th edition, whatever the release is going to be called, is going to go in Creative Commons as well. Didn't he say that? Can somebody correct me or help me here? I'm pretty sure he said that because Bob Worldbuilder did a video a few weeks ago where he talked about the OGL promises, and I'm pretty sure that was one of the things that he brought up. I'm pretty sure. Now, yes, I vaguely remember that. Okay. Yeah. Creative Commons, yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he said that. He did say that. Matt Hatter says he did say that. What he said is not what they will do. You are very astute, and I agree with you. It actually doesn't take a genius to know that they're lying to you potentially. When your business is going like this, and there's a toilet that's just like waiting for you to land, and there's somebody with their hand poised over the flush lever, on the toilet, and your business is like, and there's like floaties in there, and somebody's gonna flush you down. Woo! When your business is doing that, you will say anything, because that happened a year ago. Well, things can change. You might change your mind and do different things. Like, just because somebody said that somewhere, well, winds and climate has changed, and we've reevaluated a business, and we've decided that it's in the best interest, for reasons, justifications, excuses. Like, things change. So, are they actually going to do that? I would be shocked if they did that. Shocked. They want a walled garden. I don't think they're going to do it. He did promise it in videos, and we have proof of their promise, but if that actually happens, I'll be shocked out of my mind. Shocked, bedazzled. So I don't think that's going to happen, but that's just me. All right, let's keep moving. We got an article to go through, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So far, there's no hint of an OGL or whatever. Yeah, for that. Correct. The problem is, 5th edition was not just a game. It was a massive community of players. Countless companies could thrive making products for that community. Yes, that's the shared customer base. We've talked about that. Agreed. These new games are a shattering of that community. Instead of countless companies working to make your 5e game better, which is needed because 5th edition, oh my goodness. Oh, there's so many holes in that game system. They are now asking you to become MCDM or Darrington Press or Paizo or D&D 6e players. We are entering an era of division, faction, and balkanization. Yes, theoretically, that could be true. People are going to choose a game system. Like if you play MCDM's game system, do they have a name? Has MCDM made a name for their game system? Does it have a working title at the very least? Like, they might not have a final title, but do they have a working title? Does anybody know? Does anybody know? But yeah, the community, the customer base is fact shattering a little bit. Yeah. The companies are now asking fans to choose sides. It also means that it is going to become more difficult for them to share customers. How interested will a Pathfinder fan be in an MCDM product or 6th edition? History suggests those sort of barriers depress sales. Yeah, it could depress sales for individual companies that are married to a game system. That is possible. So when we're examining, you guys, this is an important point probably to consider. When we're examining the idea of the golden age of TTRPGs coming to an end and dying, there are two different perspectives you can examine that question from. I think one of those perspectives is that of the consumer, the person who just wants to play games, right? And then there's the perspective of people who are running these companies that produce these games. Two totally different perspectives. So from the perspective of a consumer who just wants to play games, as long as I can go out and find games that I want to play and get content for them, I'm happy. That's all that matters to me. And so from a consumer standpoint, if there's a plethora of games I can choose from and there's content for them, I'm good to go. I'll buy what I want and I'll be happy, right? And lots of people homebrew their adventures and stuff, so all they really need to buy is the base game system, and then they can make their own adventures and stuff. Lots of us do that because that's what we enjoy doing. So that's the consumer's viewpoint. More options are probably better options, right? As long as they're being produced and they're available to you. Now, from a company's standpoint, though, the golden age has to do more with your ability to produce a revenue stream and actually make money, right? And so that's a totally different question. Like, if there's a plethora of game systems out there for people to choose from, that doesn't necessarily help me make money running my business, does it? Like, if you say, well, all you have to do to make money is produce content for these 10 games. These are the 10 biggest games. If you produce content for all 10 of those, you probably are going to be able to make money. That's crazy. That's crazy overhead. I can't create content for 10 different games. Like, we're having a hard time creating for 2 games. I'd have to increase my headcount and different things. And costs would balloon, and I'd have overhead to be able to create for more games. And so I got to create for more games and increase my overhead. And then I'm going to try to work myself into a market that could be hard to get into and might have a reduced customer base. It's like, that's a hard headwind for me, right, as a company. So the more diversified the customer base is, it could make it more challenging for a company to succeed in that environment. And I think that is a legitimate point. And I think the videos that I was watching of people who were analyzing this article, I don't know that they took that perspective into account. I think they were examining it more from a consumer perspective of like, look at all these people, all these games you can buy from. And they were saying, well, right now is the pinnacle of everything. Kickstarters are out there and gaming conventions are at like their peaks, like, attendance has doubled and stuff. Like right now is all of that. Correct. That's now. But the question is what is the ripple effect, right? What is the ripple effect? Like, if I, as a company making game system or content for games, if I have to produce content for 10 different games to bring in any revenue, I can't survive. I'm going to flop because I have to have tons of people converting and doing all this stuff to be able to publish for all these different game systems. And I'm going to have a full-time like graphic designer just doing layout of all the different stuff. Oh my gosh, it's just crazy. So there's a couple different perspectives there. And as the customer base and the fan base becomes more fractured over all the different game systems, it does become more challenging for an individual company to be successful. I think that's true. Now, the giants are going to get along probably okay, right? Because they have a massive following and customer base and fans. They'll do okay. But what about the little guys, right? So I think there's a point there, right, that is to be made. And the follow through on that is that right now, tons of selection, right? But if it's true that the fracturing of the customer base over many game systems makes it difficult for smaller companies to succeed, then the long-term effect, short-term right now, is beautiful. Consumers are happy, 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 happy. But it might be more challenging for companies to be successful. And then what that's going to mean over the long term is that these companies that are struggling will start to die off one by one by one. They'll close their doors because it's more challenging to make money, right? And then as those companies go away and they stop making content because they can't make money, that's when, and this is a longer term ripple effect that will then reach the consumer, and the consumer might feel it and be like, wow, geez, nobody's making new games anymore, or they're not making content for the games that I enjoy, right? And they won't know that until the companies have already started to die off, right? Because they can't make it, so to speak. So that there is a potential there, I think. All hypothetical. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I don't know if anybody can really predict that. There's a theoretically potential there for that happening. What's my favorite brand of cereal? I don't eat cereal. Do you know that cereal, you guys, stop eating cereal. Cereal is like literally sugar in a box. You can't. So first thing we do, like, this is like American diet. This is why Americans are killing themselves. One of the reasons. We just pound sugar. We pound sugar. Cereal is like just a sugar. It's a sugar. It's like a Snickers bar, dude. You're just eating sugar in the morning, man. Sugar in the morning. It's crazy. Don't eat that crap. Get rid of that crap. Oh my gosh. I don't eat cereal. I consider cereal like a dessert. Like, sometimes we go on vacations and they will have cereal at the hotel. And what is it? What's the one I like? The cinnamon and sugar. There's like a cinnamon and sugar toast crunch. I forget what it's called, but there's one that I like, and it's like a sugary snack. You know, you put some of that sugary cereal in milk. It's like eating a cake, dude. Oh my freaking craziness. So anyway. Grapefruit, grape nuts. Is that the name of it? Grape nuts. I really like grape nuts. I would put that in milk and let it soak there for a while. Grape nuts are really crunchy, so I'd let it soak in the milk until it became mushy. Oh, that was so good. So good. Man. Woo! I love that crap. Okay, let's keep moving. little break there from the, oh, that's the wrong button. Here we go. Let's go back to this one. Yes, I'm not saying grape nuts are good. I mean, for you, I'm just saying I like them. If you think cereal is not good for breakfast, what do you like then? Eggs or pancakes? Not pancakes. That's just more like garbage. Do you want to know what I eat for breakfast? I have two different breakfast choices. Greek yogurt, plain Greek yogurt, non-fat Greek yogurt with a scoop of whey protein powder. And I am very particular. We gotta go full screen for this. I'm very particular about my whey protein powder. I get one that there's no high fructose corn syrup garbage in there. I get one that is super low in sugar, and the sugar that it has in it is natural cane sugar. So, and I try to get as low sugar content in my whey protein as possible, because this is the thing. If you look at most whey proteins, whether it's concentrated or isolated, it doesn't matter. It's packed with sugar. They pack that sugar in a lot of these things because it makes it taste better, because whey protein powder doesn't taste good unless you put sugar and crap in it. So I get one that tastes like dirt, and I put that in Greek yogurt with some cinnamon, banana or something, and some flax seeds or chia seeds. That's one breakfast choice, but I don't have that too often. That's a kind of a sweet breakfast choice. What I do now for breakfast is I usually have chicken or a piece of red meat with beans and salad. That's my breakfast. That's what I usually have. And that is very, very delicious and filling. I can eat a whole plate of that, and it's about 600 calories. Piece of meat, a bunch of beans, and salad with like almost no dressing on it. And it's like 600 calories. Crap tons of nutrition in that crap. So that's what I usually do right now. Okay, let's keep going. The companies are now asking fans to choose sides. It also means that it is going to become more difficult for them to share customers. How interested? Yeah, we already read that. Yeah, we're good to go. Let's go on to the next one. All this has happened before. Okay, he's going to draw an analogy right now. There is a flaw in his analogy. I'll tell you that right now. We're gonna read through his analogy, but there's a huge flaw in that analogy. In the 1990s, TSR, the first company to publish Dungeons and Dragons, embarked on publishing setting after setting for the game. By 1997, over a dozen settings were sold by the company. Fans stopped being fans of D&D and instead became fans of a particular setting and would only buy products for that setting. This is one of the things that Ben Riggs delves into in his book Slaying the Dragon. He talks about this, and he talks about how this right here was one of the many things that led to TSR's death. And they were saved by Wizards of the Coast buying them, obviously. In 1987, TSR was near death as setting releases had plummeted from the hundreds of thousands of copies in the 1980s to a mere 7,152 copies sold for the Birthright campaign setting in its first year of release. D&D was saved by terrible fate by Wizards of the Coast and their fat stacks of cash. They purchased TSR in the summer of 1997. So you may be asking yourself, why? So TSR had tons of different settings, and that was hurting them. Why? Because what happened is that, let's say TSR had like 5 main settings. You had Forgotten Realms, you had Greyhawk, you had Birthright, you had Dark Sun, and then you had Eberron. Did Eberron exist back then? I think Eberron was a newer one, but they had 5 of them, let's just say. They had more than that, way more than that, but let's just say that we had 5. Well, people would play a certain setting like Forgotten Realms or Greyhawk, and if you were playing Forgotten Realms and Wizards of the Coast, or TSR in this case, if TSR published something for Birthright, you're not going to buy that. If TSR published something for Greyhawk, you're not going to buy that. You want stuff for Forgotten Realms. That's what he's saying. And so what they found is that they had this big, massive amount of people that played D&D, but they would only buy a small percentage of their products because they wanted their setting material, right? And to produce content for all of these different settings costs a lot of money. It's a lot of overhead. So one of the things, when we had the automotive problems in 2008 and General Motors had to file for bankruptcy, and they what do they call that? They reorganized their company. They got rid of some brands. What General Motors had is they had lots of people that were like loyal to General Motors, but they would, they had Buick, and they had Chevrolet, and they had GMC, and they had Saturn, and they had Oldsmobile. Well, that's too many things. Like, there's a lot of the assembly plants to produce all of those and stuff. It's crazy. Like, it's better to have fewer brands and have your customer base, instead of buying from these, Oldsmobile and Saturn, which were canceled, instead of having people buy Oldsmobile and Saturn, if you can shift those over to buying Buick, Chevrolet, or GMC, well, then you have less overhead as a company. You don't need as many assembly plants, and things are going to work a lot better. Same amount of customers spending the same amount of money, but you have less overhead. That's what happened to General Motors, okay? So same thing with TSR. They had too much overhead. All these game settings were too much overhead. Same customers, way more overhead. That was a problem, and that's one of the things that led to their demise, okay? And that is the point that Ben makes in his book Slaying the Dragon, which he's touching on in his article here as well. All right, let's go back to the article. Some might say it is unfair to compare the different settings in the 90s to the different systems of today. Settings and systems are different after all, and I do agree with the point. Switching systems is a bigger ask than switching settings. Therefore, this change should have a larger impact on sales. And it is all happening again. The TTRPG audience is fracturing at the seams, and it will hurt sales and growth. Now, the big thing, though, the thing that he does not bring up, I don't know if he overlooks it or he just doesn't mention it, is that we're not talking about in his analogy of all the different settings, there was one company making all of those settings, right? In the analogy of lots of different systems, game systems, you don't have one company making all of these game systems. You have a plethora of companies making all of these game systems. So you have a many-to-many relationship as opposed to a one-to-many relationship. So there's a big difference in that analogy, which I don't know if that means the analogy is invalid. I'm just saying that there's a big difference there. Like this is not apples to apples. You have a wild card in there. There's a big difference in what happened then as to what's happening now, right? And so it doesn't necessarily invalidate the argument or the analogy. It's just there's a different thing here, a different factor at work here, which leaves something in question, I think. So that was the point I wanted to make on that. All right, now let's talk about MCDM some more. To focus only on MCDM, this current backer kit, that's their last Kickstarter they did, they crowdfunded it through BackerKit, is likely the most successful campaign the company will ever see. Every campaign after this will struggle to get the same sort of sales numbers as people slowly bleed away to the competition. Paizo will say, check out our competing fantasy game. Wizards of the Coast will batter us up with a punishing wave of marketing, trying to convince of all the newness and hotness of D&D 6th edition. May it be both new and hot, but I have my doubts, and fans will bleed away. Okay, look at core rulebooks always sell better than other books. Always. They always sell better. So I agree that MCDM's crowdfunding right now for their core rulebook is probably going to be the biggest one because it's the core rulebook. It's the core rulebook. It's going to sell really well. All the auxiliary books that come after it that support their game system are probably not going to do as well. I think that's just the way it works in the industry. And so to make this statement, while this statement is true, it doesn't acknowledge the fact that, of course it's true. We know this is true. It's always been true. And it's not rocket science, right? History proves this out. The Player Handbook 5th edition is the biggest selling book because it's the core rule book. This is the way it works. So, furthermore, what will happen to the YouTube channel that is the foundation of MCDM success? Matt Colville is a master communicator and was a major evangelist for D&D in his channel's heyday. He is before I had a channel, when I first started playing 5th edition, I found Colville's channel and I was listening to his crap all the time. I'd be at the gym on the treadmill listening to his content, which was great because his videos were like 30 to 40 minutes, right? So yeah, I listened to that stuff all the time. He is passionate, intelligent, and inspiring. If Dungeon Masters could go into the locker room and get a pep talk from their coach in the middle of a game of D&D, that coach would be Matt Colville. How much time is Colville going to devote to D&D now that it is essentially his competition? That's a good question. Now, there's always the chance that a business person is going to do something like promote somebody else's competing product. There's always a chance that you're going to do something like that, right? But most business people don't do that. Like, you don't intentionally sabotage your efforts, right? So he's probably going to focus on promoting his own stuff, I would imagine, right? That would be the logical thing to do. So if that is true, and if he actually does that, that means he will spend less time talking about D&D and more time talking about his game system. That makes sense. Now, if we extrapolate that to all YouTubers and companies, right, they're going to spend less time promoting D&D and more time promoting their own game system. So Critical Role, do you think Critical Role is going to talk a lot about D&D 5th edition? Or do you think they're going to talk about Daggerheart? Or do you think they're going to talk about Candela Oscura, right? Dungeon Coach is making DC 20. Do you think he's going to keep talking a ton about 5th edition? Well, I can tell you, most of his videos are now about his own game system, right? And this is going to be true for pretty much everybody who's making their own game system. A lot of YouTubers are making their own game systems, or it's companies making their own game systems. They're going to talk about their products. So there's going to be fewer evangelists out there that are talking about D&D 5th edition and driving people to D&D 5th edition. Instead, right, they're going to be people that are talking about other game systems and their own game systems and stuff. And so yes, This is something that you already see this happening. You already see this happening, right? And it will continue to probably happen. Probably. How much time is Colville going to devote to D&D now that it's essentially his competition? In the past year, he has put out fewer than. Okay, I want to hone in on this right here. Grammar nerds, rejoice. He has put out fewer, not less than, fewer than 20 videos. Videos is a count noun. You can count them. Therefore, you have to use fewer. This is like probably the #1 grammatical mistake that I constantly see, and I cannot stand it. Nobody knows grammar. Like count nouns and non-count nouns, okay? You can count them. Therefore, you have to say fewer. If it were like milk, you can't count milk, you measure milk. And so if it's milk, you say less. Like I have less milk than you do. But if it's videos, I have more videos than you do, or I have fewer videos than you do. Okay, so you have to say fewer here. I wish I could just like, if I could put something on a billboard, it would be this, fewer. This will change the world, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pet peeve, I swear, man. I wish people spoke. I wish it, but nope. I'm out of coffee. Oh, I'm good at math too. I actually, on my college entrance exams, my ACTs, my math score was a 34 out of 36. So I'm crazy good at math. I've taken Calc 1, 2, and 3 in differential equations, and did really well in them. So I'm very much a math guy, but I'm also very much an English guy, a writer guy too. So actually my writing portion of my ACT, I don't know if I had writing. I think they had reading or something. I got a 36 on my science though. 36 out of 36 on science. Yeah, baby. It wasn't hard. You didn't even have to know science. You were just interpreting graphs and stuff. It was like a logic test. It was like a common sense, can you use your brain test? So it wasn't actually real science in my opinion. But anyway, whatever. Okay, let's continue going here. Where was I? In the past year, he has put out fewer than 20 videos on his channel. Those videos now range widely in topic, from TV reviews and interviews with language scholars to some D&D content. And he sometimes goes weeks. What happened to my camera? One of my cats pushed my camera. What a jerk. He sometimes goes weeks without putting out a video too. It's like they're few and far between. And a discussion of the creation of his new RPG. Yeah, that's another content of his videos. Going back 5 years, and Colville was putting out video after video after video of fantastic advice about running D&D, usually with 5e as the default. I gotta turn off Grammarly. I don't even use Grammarly. I don't know why I have it installed on my computer. I have found it to be more annoying than helpful, so I'm just gonna turn that off. It always pops up with a little stupid thing in the wrong place. It's like, you're covering my stuff, go away. It always covers crap it shouldn't cover. I don't even use it. I installed it to figure out, just to learn what it could do, and I was like, this is not useful to me. Where am I? Oh, I lost. Video after video on 5e. He just spent some of the best advice on TTRPGs I have ever seen. Yeah, but you know, he was calling it D&D 5th edition, but it's like a lot of us. We call it D&D 5th edition or D&D advice, but it's applicable to a wide range of TTRPGs. We just say D&D, but it applies to almost everything. But yeah, he's not putting out as many videos talking about D&D. He's talking about other stuff. Correct. I also think he's losing interest in videos, because videos take a lot of work, you guys. It is so much effort to make a video, scripting and filming and stuff. It is really a lot of work, and I can appreciate the move away from videos. If you can move away from making videos and find other ways for your business to succeed, like, if you can do that, you save yourself lots of time. So I think there are reasons that he's making fewer videos. They don't necessarily drive the bottom line as much as they did before, and so you can move away from them. But it appears his content is fundamentally shifting, and he's asking that his audience go with him somewhere new. Yes, I would agree with that. I think he also is probably losing interest in doing videos on the same topic for like 20,000 years, and he wants something new, and that's fair, you know. It's, you get bored with stuff after a while. What else did I say here? Okay. Let's look at MCDM's recent efforts from the point of view of Wizards of the Coast. It is all ruin, disaster, and calamity. Master communicator and D&D fanatic Matt Colville has gone from convincing people to try D&D and explaining how best to play D&D to instead asking his 439,000 subscribers to stop playing D&D and play his game instead. Yes, that is a huge, massive blow. That right there is the thing that's gonna hurt Wizards of the Coast. And it's not just MCDM, it's not just Matt Colville. Instead of trying to tell people to play D&D, instead come play my new game system. It's not just him doing it, it's everyone doing it. It's Critical Role saying Daggerheart or Candela Obscura. It's DC 20, it's Shadow Dark, right? It's everybody who's essentially saying, instead of saying D&D 5e, it's everybody's talking about different game systems, or people that are promoting Pathfinder 2 more instead of only talking about D&D 5th edition, right? It's everybody, right? It's everybody who is, instead of just saying D&D 5e, they're talking about everything else, right? And that right there is gonna hurt Wizards of the Coast. It's gonna hurt Wizards of the Coast's bottom line, because they have, what they did is and this happened with the OGL, they took some of the people that were their biggest supporters, not necessarily financially, but in the aspect of getting people, bringing awareness to your product and getting people to go buy your product. They stabbed us all in the back, is what they did. And so that right there caused a lot of these people to start doing other things and promoting other products, whether it was their own product or a different system, right? Like, you had loyal people that were your best marketers in the world, and you stabbed a lot of them in the back. And that didn't sit well with a lot of us, right? And so now there's going to be a blow that happens to Wizards of the Coast, and they felt that probably more than likely. And it'll continue to happen now because you're not getting a lot of those people back. A lot of those people are now have their own game system, right? Or they're still just waiting for you to keep stabbing us in the back. Like, are you gonna put 6th edition D&D into the Creative Commons like you promised? Or is that not gonna happen? Because I guarantee you, I 100% guarantee you that when you don't do it, there's gonna be people that talk about that and make it a very big point to mention how you made a promise that you're now breaking to us, right? Just like you did with other ones, right? There are gonna be people who talk about that and make videos about that it will happen, right? So that right there of getting your biggest supporters and fans and the people that corral others and tell other people about your product, getting us to stop trusting you and stop talking about your product, that's huge. That's a huge blow. Now, obviously, they're a big company, and there are lots of people that don't watch YouTube and don't connect with all these things and stuff, but it's still a blow, dude. It's still a huge blow. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Now we talk about Critical Role. Not to mention that Critical Role, a huge reason for the recent surge in popularity of D&D, is likewise stopping their support of D&D and asking their 2.1 million YouTube subscribers to start playing one of their 2 new games instead. I don't know if they've officially done that. I feel like they will. Like, once Daggerheart kickstarts and is available and stuff, like, come on, Season 4, Critical Role Season 4, do you really think they're gonna play D&D 5th edition? No, they're gonna play Daggerheart. Are you kidding me? Of course they're gonna play Daggerheart. That's gonna be when you get to see this thing in action before the Kickstarter, and you're gonna get all of your fans salivating to get their hands on it as well. You 100% have to play Season 4 with Daggerheart. Man, that would be the best marketing vehicle in the world. And then when you kickstart that baby, oh, that'll blow up. You have to play Season 4 with Daggerheart. It's not going to be 5th edition. It's not going to be Candela Obscura. It's going to be Daggerheart. And so then all of their YouTube subscribers and stuff, they're essentially going to sell them on their new game systems as opposed to D&D 5th edition. So again, we're taking people that were previously driving customers toward Wizards of the Coast are now driving them elsewhere, and that's going to impact Wizards of the Coast bottom line, Hasbro's bottom line. Oh yeah, I will not mention that lest it further trouble the sleep of the D&D people at Wizards of the Coast. What if 2.1 million people simply don't buy 5th edition? Yeah, they might not. I mean, they might. In summary, all these events are interfering with the developments that created the golden age of TTRPGs. The removal of D&D from Critical Role likely hurts everybody involved. For years, Critical Role's pitch was watch voice actors play D&D, a concept even my 80-year-old aunt, Sonia, understands. Now the pitch is watch voice actors play Candela Obscura, which very few people are going to know what that is, relatively speaking. But what is Candela Obscura? If asked, Aunt Sonia might guess Candela Obscura was a potpourri scent. The brand who still uses potpourri? I'm sure people still use it. The brand recognition that drove people to Critical Role is gone. So I think what he's saying then is that Critical Role could suffer a decline because instead of banking on 5th edition people, D&D people coming and watching their show, people will be like, what's Daggerheart or what's Candela Obscura, and they're going to pass on it. So I think that's what he's saying. There's a potential decline that might happen. Simultaneously, the splintering of the D&D 5e community will make it harder for new designers to break into the industry and harder for established companies to attract new customers. Growth in the TTRPG field will slow. I can see that. I don't necessarily know if it's going to happen, but I can definitely see the potential for that. Because if a new company is trying to get started and they can't sell D&D 5th edition or D&D 6th edition because there's no Creative Commons and no OGL for it, and Wizards of the Coast is not going to release that, then it's going to be hard for you to break into the industry, right? And established companies might find it more difficult too, right? I had a note here. Established companies to attract new customers will have to sell multiple game systems. Yeah, we talked about this. So if you're an established company and you want to attract new customers, what you might do is you might have your own game system, but you might publish something for 5th edition or D&D 6th edition, right? To try to attract new customers. But that's a lot of overhead. That's a lot of work. It's very, very hard to do that, right? And so that takes a commitment of capital and energy and money and manpower to be able to do that. Okay, now he gets into what the future might look like. And if I'm right, this is how the golden age of TTRPGs dies. We still haven't really defined what the golden age is. What do we mean by the golden age? And who does the golden age apply to? Is it the consumer or is it the game companies? Or both? Certain things follow naturally from these events. Here are my predictions, prophecies, that I may be held accountable for my rashness in writing all this down. I may be wrong, but if I am right, the following things seem likely to pass. 6th edition will not do as well as 5th edition. Even more firings will follow. I mean, I think that's fair. I don't think 6th edition will do as well as 5th edition. I doubt that is going to happen. For 5th edition, you had just it was like a confluence of amazing luck and circumstance. You had Stranger Things and Critical Role and everybody and their brother, just everybody, just YouTube and crap and everywhere, just 5th edition, blah, 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 blah. And that's not going to be the case anymore, right? Because we're splintering across many different game systems. Even more firings will follow. Sure, yeah. If Hasbro is a publicly traded company, if they cannot, their stock price was like, the last I checked, around 40 or something. Hasbro's stock price was in the toilet. What is, okay, hold on. Let's see what their stock price is right now. What is Hasbro's stock price? Hasbro stock price. What is it right now? It's 47. Okay. So this is this historical. Let's see. Can you give me a, where's my year to date? Year to date? Give me a 6 month. Okay. So they're 6 month. Look at this. They were up by they were 70 in September. And then can we zoom in a little bit here? There we go. Dropped down to here. Look at this. These guys are, this is a struggle bus. And if you look at their 1 year, they were at like 100. Where was this? Where's their 5 year? Look at this. Back here in 2019, their stock price was over 100 at certain points. And then bam. And then grow. And then bam, bam. Look at their stock price. They're a publicly traded company, dude. You cannot have your stock price going down like this. That's a big no-no. So they got to make money. Now they laid off a whole bunch of people. That's going to help them in so much as not having to pay expenses on that. Your current workforce is probably doing twice as much work to make up for the layoffs, but you know, I guess that's life. But they got to get the stock price back up. And if they don't, more stuff's got to happen. Like you can't just accept that. You have to get the stock price up. So more firings could follow. Let's go back to my sheet here. Oh man, I've been missing super chats. I'm sorry. Let's see. What super chats do I have? I feel that D&D as the default name hurts the willingness to learn new games. Okay. I don't know what the context there was. As someone who only recently learned 5e both as a player and a DM, how difficult would it be to transition to Pathfinder 2? It's not that bad. I did it. There's a learning curve. It's not that bad, and once you catch on to it, Pathfinder 2 is way better than D&D 5e. I love Pathfinder 2 now. The more I play it, the more fun I have, and the less I want to play D&D 5th edition. Oh, I groan when I have to play D&D 5th edition. All right, and then oh, it looks like I have. Where are my member chats? I'm getting member chats too. Anada says, been so busy lately, I managed to make it to one of Luke's streams tonight. Here's to another 26 months, boy. Dang, Anada has been a member of our channel for 26 months. Sweet, thank you so much. That's awesome. And you're in our stream. Okay, let's go back to where we're reading our article. I think I was up here. Yes, even more firings will follow. Wizards, which struggled to know what to do with D&D when it was a success, no honor among thieves starter set really, will be flummoxed by what to do when it is perceived as a failure. Yeah, Wizards of the Coast, but it's also Hasbro. Hasbro doesn't know what to do with D&D. I mean, Wizards of the Coast is building out their online virtual tabletop. Like D&D Beyond is their future. And online digital microtransactions is the future. That's what they're going to try to build toward. But I'm not going to argue with the point that the leadership in the company has made some very bad decisions this last year or so. That is a very, very salient point. No MCDM RPG crowdfunding campaign will ever do better than this initial campaign to fund its TTRPG. Yes, but that's the way it always works, so that's a non-point. Cobalt Press's post-OGL game, Tales of the Valiant, has been criticized for being too similar to 5e. For Cobalt Press, I see, and I talked about why that is earlier in the stream, if you're joining us late. For Cobalt Press, I see two futures. Perhaps they will slowly bleed fans in the same way that MCDM will. But if 6th edition D&D is too different, and people really don't want to move on from 5e, Cobalt has positioned themselves to be the next Paizo, and Tales of the Valiant the next Pathfinder. I think that is what's gonna happen with Cobalt. I have a feeling that you're gonna have a lot of people that like 5th edition, they do not want to go to 6th edition, and they especially don't want to give Wizards of the Coast their money. And they're gonna say, you know what, I'm gonna stick with 5th edition. Wizards of the Coast have made all these changes and stuff. I don't want that crap. So I'm sticking with 5th edition. Tales of the Valiant is essentially 5th edition. So I can just pretty much plug and play anything Cobalt Press produces for that into my 5th edition game. I don't even have to buy Tales of the Valiant if I don't want to. I could buy their monsters and stuff and other things, and I could keep running 5th edition. So yes, it's possible that Tales of the Valiant is well positioned to become the next Pathfinder, in so much that because Wizards of the, so this is what happened with the 4th edition D&D, right? If we remember, Wizards of the Coast made 4th edition D&D. It was pretty much a flop, and that is primarily what caused Pathfinder 1 to just blow up, because people liked 3.5. 4th edition they did not want to play, majority of people, and thus they stuck with 3.5, which Pathfinder 1st edition is essentially 3.5 D&D. And so that's what caused Pathfinder to go right. And now we have Pathfinder 2, which is awesome too. And so the point here is that perhaps Tales of the Valiant is because, like, Wizards screwed the pooch with 4th edition and caused and essentially made a massive blunder and allowed another company in the wake of that blunder to capitalize and grow. Great, awesome, spectacular. Well, did Wizards of the Coast make another spectacular blunder with the OGL and with 5th edition transition to 6th edition, upon which Cobalt Press is going to capitalize and grow up and balloon just like Paizo did? That's the question. Possible. I can see that happening. Will it? I don't know. But there's a potential there for that, right? Only history will, the future that will become history will tell us whether that's true or not, I suppose. 4th edition, Buster TN says 4th edition was the first time I ever gave away D&D books. I remember when I was getting back into D&D, what was it? Oh no, that was something else. I think I looked at some 4th edition books once and I was like, passed on them, but I've never actually played 4th edition. I just know that most people didn't like it. And then they say the frequency of million-dollar TTRPG Kickstarters will decrease. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. I think you're probably still gonna keep having some big ones. Well, if they're doing it for, if they're doing their Kickstarters for 5th edition, I can see those doing very well, at least for the next few years. And if you can even do Kickstarters for 6th edition, if you're allowed to, it depends on what the license is going to look like, which would probably not be something anybody wants to sign, unless you're putting your content on D&D Beyond and making a fat killing because you have a massive customer base now because you have your own content on D&D Beyond. And then you're going to sign the contract because, you know, they might take 50%, but you have access to millions of customers now. It's fast stacks right there. So I don't know. I don't know if that's necessarily true right there. Attendance at major gaming conventions will plateau. Yeah, okay. Yeah, they're going to plateau. Do you want to know why attendance is going to plateau? Because there won't be any more room in the cities for gamers. Like, plateau right now, attendance at gaming convention is massively up. Gen Con sold out. I heard for the first time ever, there was literally no more room tickets or anything. The hotels were all packed full. There was no room whatsoever. Attendance at all conventions is just up. So if you say that attendance is going to plateau, yeah, when there are no hotels available and when there are no more tickets being sold, it has to plateau. There's literally no capacity. So that's a true statement, probably, but not because conventions are struggling, but because conventions are so successful that there's no room left for any gamers to be in town. So I think that's a true statement, but with a huge caveat. I don't think conventions are they might plateau, but they're not. They're doing very, very healthy right now. They're doing very, very well. What am I most excited about in the potential future of TTRPGs, Luke? I don't know. Let's talk about that. We're almost done with this article. Well, let's talk about that. Remind me to talk about that. TTRPGs will become less interesting. What? This is crazy. TTRPGs will become less interesting, less exciting, less creative, and despite all the new systems, it will also grow less diverse as it becomes harder to make money in a TTRPG community broken into factions. Okay, let's break this down a little bit. The last part, I think there's a valid point. It will grow less diverse as it becomes harder to make money in a TTRPG community broken into factions. So this is what we were talking about before. I think there's some truth here. What we were talking about before is if you have all these different game systems and companies trying to make money, the customer base is getting spread among them. And this is like a zero-sum game, right? Where you assume that there are never any more customers, that the customers you have now are the only customers you will ever have. And that's not true, because there's always new customers coming in. Yeah, there are probably some leaving, but more than likely there are more coming in than leaving. And so it's not a zero-sum game. But if you assume that you have a closed circuit environment, right, then you can say, if you have all these game systems and fewer customers, and it's harder for any one company to survive, and that then as those companies fail because they can't survive as easily because of the diverse customers across all of these different game systems, then you could say it will eventually become less diverse because those game systems go away. Except that as long as the core rule books are available and there, then you can probably get them on eBay or something like that. Then you can still play those game systems. You just won't be able to buy new content because the company's gone bye-bye. So I think that's what he's trying to say, that it will grow less diverse because of the difficulty in businesses actually being able to succeed, right? So that kind of makes sense. I can see the logic there. And so TTRPGs will become less interesting, less exciting, less creative. I don't know about that. I mean, in the long run, if everybody goes out of business and there's only a couple that survive, I suppose you could say that. But right now, and especially in the short term, next 5 years or so, that's not true at all. Like, for that to be true, I think you need a long tail. You need like about a 10 to 15 year tail, because at that point, it'll be hard to, assuming that companies all go out of business and stop printing books, and there's only 3 giants that remain. Let's pretend that Wizards of the Coast, Paizo, and Cobalt Press are the only ones that are in business making their own products, and you can't get the old books from Castles of Crusades or Dungeon Crawl Classics or something because they're all gone. Let's pretend. I don't want them to go away because I like Dungeon Crawl Classics, but let's just pretend. Then you can make this statement, but that's a long tail, man. That's like 10 to 15 years. So that's super long term, right? I might not be alive by then term. I hope, well, I'm like 40 something right now. So that's putting me at like 65. I should be alive. I don't know if I'm gonna want to be alive, but I should be alive. And so the golden age sputters out. We still haven't really defined what the golden age is. When you make a sweeping claim about the golden age dying, it would be nice to define what you mean by that. Unless something truly dramatic and game-changing hits the industry, what could change this grim future? I suppose a group of publishers coalescing around a single system might change matters. Kind of like they were coalesced around 5th edition. Or something truly inconceivable, something like giving 6th edition D&D an OGL, or putting the rules in the Creative Commons. Yeah, inconceivable, but Wizards of the Coast did promise that. They did promise that. But I agree with you, it's pretty inconceivable that they would actually fulfill that promise. And after last month's blood sacrifices upon the altar of profitability, who was even left at Wizards with the power and experience to advocate for such a thing? I mean, was there anybody at Hasbro to begin with that could advocate for that? Like, these guys don't really know a lot about the industry. They're just making decisions. It has been a grand era to be a gamer, one which we have been fortunate to live through. So that's his article. That's his premise. That's what he goes through. I do want, now what I want to do is we're going to watch a little bit of Dungeon Craft's video. He made a video talking about this as well, and in the last third of the video or so, he gives his actual thoughts, his predictions, what he thinks going to happen. And I was listening to that, and I had a few comments on that I wanted to bring up as well. So we're gonna watch that a little bit. Man, there's nothing in my cup. There we go. Ooh. So Jacobs, thank you for the super chat, says, this article seems to assume that the companies are the lifeblood of the TTRPG community. Yeah, that's true. It doesn't appear to even consider that what the community will do with all the new rule sets under open licenses. That is a very good point. Squirty Pie, do you like my camera? Yeah, you do, don't you? So that's a good point. If we pretend that because of the, let's just say that companies start to die off and can't make products anymore because of these changes eventually, right? The community can still always make things that they want to make, right? You can make your own products and put them out there for free and stuff. Absolutely, you can always do that. So yeah, it doesn't address that. And with the internet and different sites where you can just put stuff for free and whatnot, yeah, there's a point to be made. Now, the question, of course, are not everything that the community is going to make is going to be quality though, right? And so if you have thousands of people making content for a game system, but only like 5 of them are making things that are decent quality, they're like lost in this like sea of like stuff that's not that good, right? And so theoretically those people would surface and they would become known as making good content, and so the communities might be aware of that, right? But there's the potential for like it to be hard to find that content, but it should surface. I think it seems like it would surface. People would find out, like if it's the Dungeon Crawl Classic community and that you guys are making like, you know, adventures and stuff for them, it seems like people who make good adventures would gain a reputation for good adventures and they'd become known for that, right? That seems logical. So that maybe it's not a problem at all. Craig Grimm, thank you for the super sticker thingy. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. Of a cat too. I can't really see what the cat is doing. It's saying something, but I can't really see what it's saying. Ratatuff makes a very good point. This is kind of what I was alluding at, except that I was trying to be more subtle about my point or something, I suppose. Ratatuff says, I don't care what the community makes. I almost exclusively buy from established companies. I want quality, not amateur stuff. I mean, I buy quality too, dude. Like, I buy quality. Like when I'm out buying crap, or if I'm going to the store or Amazon or something, like I don't want garbage. I want to buy quality stuff too. I'm in the same boat, man. I've bought lots of garbage in my life and it falls apart. It doesn't last very long. It doesn't do the job. So give me something that works. Give me quality. Yeah, there's a lot to be said about buying quality and paying for quality and being willing to pay for quality. Yes, cheap is not better, always better. Cheap is not always better. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is we are going to watch a little bit of Dungeon Craft's video. And I'm going to need my headphones for this so I can actually hear it. I'm going to be pausing it and commenting on stuff. Are you going to turn on? Oh, it's already on. I do want to say, Professor Dungeon Craft and I are buds. We hung out at Gen Con and stuff. He's a really cool guy, and I watched a lot of his videos and stuff, so he's totally cool. I have a feeling that there are a couple of his points that I'm going to disagree with, but that is not to disparage the person. It's just that we might disagree on a couple of things, but I want you all to know that he and I are tight. I don't know how tight we are, but we know each other, and we're cool, you know. So, but I'm probably going to disagree with a couple of things he has to say, so I just want to put that out there. So I'm not trying to trash him or talk bad about him. It's just, you know, I don't always agree with everything everybody else says. That's just life. I'm sure he doesn't agree with half of what I said today. So let's do this. I gotta go to the actual monitor over here. All right, there we go.
You can watch it on Patreon now.
Okay, hold on. I can't hear it. I need to turn on my system. Oh, there we go. Oh, I have to turn my music off. I'm going to turn off my background music. Stop the background music. There we go. Now it should work.
Now, Merles is right that desktop publishing and print on demand make it possible to run a larger company with far fewer people. Goodman Games publishes...
Okay, hold on a second. Print on demand? Print on demand is very low quality printing. Like, you need to do offset printing to get like quality print books, in my opinion. So yes, you can do print on demand through like Ingram Spark or something, but it's not high quality. It's pretty low quality books. So again, if you want to buy quality, you don't want to buy print on demand books. That's just my opinion.
Dungeon Crawl Classics, and this is their latest box set, Music of the Spheres is Chaos. They have a full-time staff of fewer than 5 people. Jewel of the Indigo Isles by Roll for Combat. They're the largest third-party producer of Pathfinder material. They are cranking out a book like this every couple of months on Kickstarter and on their website. They have a staff of 2 full-time people. Shadowdark was one of the big success stories of the year.
He's going over a lot of the people that are out there making content and stuff. Yeah, that's true. There's a whole bunch of people out there that are making content, right? And producing books and stuff. So yes, it's very, very true. I'd say we're going to get to a point that I want to talk about, though.
Arcane Library doubled their staff to 2 people. Runehammer Games makes the excellent Easy D6 and the upcoming Crown and Skull. And it's run by 1 guy. As for the idea that D&D is a gateway to other games, and I'm not sure that's true. It used to be, for my generation.
Yeah, so one of the ideas is that you start playing D&D 5th edition and you branch out into other games. And I don't know if that's true nowadays. A lot of people just pick up D&D 5th edition and that's all they ever want to play. Ever. And if you try to convince them to play something else, they're like, nope. Just... So I think I agree with him that that's probably not true anymore. And that's something that it was a different generation where you play a whole bunch of different stuff. Like I play with some older players who've played lots of different stuff, but a lot of times when I'm playing with younger players, they only ever know D&D 5th edition. And they've been playing it for a while, but they've only ever played that, and they don't have any plans to switch to anything else. So I think there's probably some truth in that right there.
I played D&D first, then I got into Call of Cthulhu, Mech Warrior, Warhammer, and a million other games. But I'm not sure younger players are following that path. And as evidence, I submit another post by Mr. Riggs. The importance of D&D as a gateway cannot be overstated. Want to know what everyone I know under 30 is playing? D&D 5e. Want to know what game got them into the hobby? D&D 5e.
So everyone I know under 30 is playing D&D 5e, and what got him to the hobby is D&D 5e. So Ben Riggs is the guy who wrote the article we've been talking about this whole live stream, and so he's essentially agreeing with this.
Okay, if 5e got them into the hobby, and they don't play anything but 5e, then it's not really a gateway. It's more like a gated community. They don't know other games.
Yeah, it's a gated community, and that's exactly what Wizards of the Coast wants. That's exactly what they want. They want people to only buy their products from them, and that's why I don't think we're going to see D&D's 6th edition go into the Creative Commons as was promised, or for there to be an OGL, or at least not for there not to be an OGL that people will actually be willing to sign. It'll probably be some crazy stuff that nobody's willing to do.
Exist. That tracks with what I've seen at conventions. The play areas at conventions are filled. The tables are filled, but almost all the players are over 30, and it doesn't matter whether it's D&D 5e, Dungeon Crawl Classics, or Shadowdark, or the Free League stuff like...
Yeah, but I think one of the reasons the players are over 30 or and I think that's true. A lot of I go to conventions and a lot of them are over 30 and stuff. It's because they got money. Like young people tend not to have a whole bunch of money, you know, unless they're maxed out their credit cards like the rest of America. But yeah, you're right. Because older people tend to be the ones that have the money, and so they are the ones that can afford to get a hotel. They can afford to travel, right? Like it's expensive to go to a convention. You're going to spend probably $500 in a hotel, then your food, and then buying the ticket to the convention is meaningless. $100, that's nothing compared to what you're spending on the hotel and the food while you're there, right? So yeah, it's expensive to go to conventions. That's why you see older people that have money, you know. But by older I mean like 30 plus.
Blade Runner. And these are also the players who back the Kickstarters like Shadow Dark. These people watch a lot of YouTube. They are very aware with what happened with the OGL. They are ticked off.
Maybe. So he's saying that people 30 and over are the ones that support all of these Kickstarters, and they're the ones that watch a lot of YouTube, and they're the ones that are ticked off and stuff. I don't know that. I mean, yes and no. I think there's tons of people that don't pay attention to YouTube. They don't watch D&D stuff on YouTube, and they're still playing D&D and stuff. There are lots and lots of people that are not plugged into the YouTube scene for D&D, you know, and they just kind of ignore that. And there are lots of people that have no idea what the OGL was and just want to play D&D, and they're going to keep on buying it. So this is like a hypothesis, right? We're supposing, and I don't think anybody has actual proof either way. It's just, you know, we're just thinking of idea. We're just talking about stuff, you know, things that we think. But I don't think there's a way to prove this either way.
At Hasbro at their behavior, and they're voting with their feet. They're taking their wallets out and supporting independent creators. I think Hasbro has made a big mistake. They've left found money on the table.
Oh, Hasbro's absolutely made a big mistake. The OGL scandal debacle was probably one of the biggest mistakes there ever will make. That was a bad move. That they lost what 10% of their D&D Beyond subs or something catastrophic for D&D Beyond, and they lost the whales off D&D Beyond. The people that just give them money and always will give them money, they lost those people, right? And then now you have gaming companies making different game systems. You have YouTubers no longer supporting 5th edition. Like you have Critical Role potentially stepping away completely from 5th edition. Like the OGL was a bad move. That was a classic debacle. The person who thought up the OGL just drove a dagger into the heart of their own company, you know. So that was absolutely a boneheaded move. 100% bad idea, and all for greed, all for the sake of greed.
They're targeting their game to the under 25 crowd. Those are people like my son. He and his friends all have 5e, play nothing but 5e. Problem is, they're living La Vida Broca. I'm the one that buys all.
I mean, yeah, that's a good point. So if Wizards of the Coast, their new business model is to sell D&D via D&D Beyond online through microtransactions, that would be targeting younger people, right? Under 30, 25s and stuff like that, who are really into that stuff, more so than older people. Older people like me tend to want to play in person using books and stuff, and are less interested in online if we can help it, if we can avoid it. And the problem with targeting a younger demographic is that the younger demographic doesn't have as much money, right? However, I think the younger demographic probably disproportionately spends on entertainment and experiences as opposed to other things, or they're just happy to go into debt over it as well, you know. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see actual, like, you know, stats and statistics on that, because I think I'm just kind of guessing at this point, you know.
the games. I'm the one buying Shadow Dark and backing all the Kickstarters. I'm the one that can afford any He-Man action figure I want. And when I go to Chipotle and they say guac is $2 extra, I'm the one who says, make it rain. This older...
So instead of going to Chipotle, if you go to, what's the restaurant that is exactly like Chipotle in almost every single way? That's essentially a clone of Chipotle. I always forget the name of it. What is that restaurant, you guys? Gosh, I always forget it. Somebody in chat knows. What's the Mexican-ish type, American Mexican-ish restaurant that's just like Chipotle? Somebody knows. What is it? Qdoba? Is it Qdoba? Okay. I'll assume it's Qdoba. If you go to Qdoba, it's Qdoba, yeah. They don't charge you extra for guacamole. There's no extra charge. You can get it for free. And we actually prefer Qdoba. My wife and I will go to Qdoba before we go to Chipotle. Chipotle got stupid. The place near us, they always want to for the longest time, you could not walk into the store and order. You had to order on their app. And I'm like, I don't want to order on your stupid app or your site. Just give me a kiosk, fine. But I don't want to have to get your stupid app. Anyway, we don't like Chipotle. Okay, let's keep going.
The crowd got brought back into D&D by 5e, but now they want to branch out to other games. The publishers I've talked to estimate that D&D lost 10% of their audience. That audience went to other games. It went to Dungeon Crawl Classics and...
Yeah, that's probably very true. Probably very true. Massive amount of people left D&D 5th edition, walked away, gave Wizards of the Coast the middle finger with the OGL, and they went to other places. Paizo sold out of 8 or 9 months of warehouse books in their warehouse. That gone, just sold out of so many things, and people have gone to other game systems. Yeah. So again, the OGL was a colossal business mistake by Wizards of the Coast.
And Pathfinder and Shadow Dark, but that 10% isn't equally distributed between young people and older people. It's almost exclusively older people. Over 30 years old, they're professional.
Yeah, exactly. The people that have the money, the people that left were disproportionately the ones that had the money. That's very, very bad. If you're a company and you lose a bunch of your customers, you want to lose the customers that are broke. You don't want to lose the customers that have money. That's bad. It's very bad for you. So yeah, I totally agree.
Professionals, they have disposable income. These are the supporters of MCDM. These are the people that spend money at cons and on gaming conventions. And it's an audience that up until now, Wizards of the Coast has dismissed and occasionally even insulted. And if you don't believe me, look at the comments. I have no idea if Riggs and Merles is right, and I have no idea what's going to happen in the future with D&D. But I'd like to see the TTRPG hobby grow, and I'd like to see new creative games, voices, and visions in that hobby. And I'm going to be here to support them. And it's not because I don't like D&D. I still like D&D. I just think the more games available, the better it is for players, consumers, and everyone.
Yes. You see, I don't know if I agree with that. The more games that are available, yes, that's better for consumers in theory, as long as they're quality games and they have enough content being produced by them that satisfies the consumers, right? But it's man, if you walk into the cereal aisle, there are so many different boxes of cereal, right? And some of that cereal is absolute garbage and tastes horrible, right? Other cereal tastes pretty good, right? But if there's so much cereal that you can't find the good stuff, right? Is that actually better for the consumer? Or is it better to go to a store like Aldi that just has a selection of 10 cereals and that's it, and then you choose the one you like? So I don't know. That's interesting. That's an interesting question. But ultimately, if the splintering of consumers across different game systems does lead to a decline in sales for companies and companies sputtering out and going bye-bye, if that actually happens, then the long tail, as we discussed, won't be the the industry growing. It'll be a shrinking of it, a contraction of it, right? That's the long tail. So short term, plethora of game systems seems good, but the long term on the business side of things is like what would happen, right? And we talked about that before in the live stream. So I don't know if it's a win-win all around. I think there's another side to it, right? That also needs to be considered.
At least that's what I think. What do you?
Okay, that's it. Okay. So there you go. That is the analysis of the golden age of TTRPGs is dead, supposedly. I don't know. I don't know what you guys think, if you agree with that. I'm going to take these off because I hate these stupid headphones. I only needed that so I can hear what he was saying. So right now, the golden age of TTRPGs, it's not dead. It's not dying. Well, it depends on what you define it as. But right now, the industry and TTRPGs in general are doing very, very well. Conventions are doing well. Sales are doing well. More players than ever. People excited about it. New games are launching and stuff. So I don't think that things are dying or dead right now. The question is, based on everything that we've talked about and analyzed over this stream, is what will the long tail be? What will things look like in the future, right? That's the real question, and I don't think I don't think we're going to know. You're not going to know it until you see it, until it actually happens, you know? Hey, Jason Coleman, thank you so much, dude, for the $50 tip. Really do appreciate that. So that tip right there, that $50, is going to go toward the charity that we're currently raising money for, which is All God's Children. So these guys right here do lots of amazing stuff for kids, children. For instance, they help the victims of human trafficking. They help children with food, with education. You can sponsor children even on their site. And right now we're raising $500 for them, and we're getting closer. We're at $331, so we're getting closer and closer to our goal of $500. If you would like to support All God's Children, you can tip us at a link down in the chat, hopefully. And once we get to $500, we're going to make a donation to All God's Children. I personally sponsored 2 kids through All God's Children. I should have logged in so I could actually show you who they are. But I started sponsoring 2 kids through there. And you can, if you want to support them directly, feel free to do so. You don't have to do it through us. You can go directly to their site and support as well if you'd like to. But once we get to $500, we will be giving a donation. And we have a giveaway going on today as well. There hopefully will be a link in the chat. One of our wonderful, beautiful, handsome moderators will put a link in the chat for that. You can win $50 credit to the DM Lair store. We're going to draw the winner to that giveaway in just a few moments here. We'll give folks a couple minutes to sign up for the giveaway if they haven't done so already. And then we'll draw a winner. Also, remember, I will be at the Level Up Gaming Convention in New Jersey, February 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. That's like in 2 weeks, guys, in 2 weeks. So if you want to come hang out with me and say hi and stuff, maybe play in some games with me, go check out Level Up Convention. There's a link down in the description. You can also save $10 on the ticket if you use the code that's down there, DMLayer 2024. So hope to see some of you there. If you see me, please come up and say hi, talk to me. It's like one of the things I love about going to conventions is just talking to people, because I'm going to be there by myself and I'm going to be lonely if you don't talk to me. I'm going to cry in a corner or something. So come say hi to me. So yes, Sith Lord, we're doing a giveaway. Go sign up for it, dude. Go sign up for it. All right. If there were any questions that you guys had that I didn't answer because I was not really paying attention to chat, and you could ask them, I might answer them. Charlie says, would you ever consider doing a video on DM confidence? I've pretty much lost mine recently and I'm not sure how to redevelop it. So the way to become confident at something is probably to be better at it, be good at it. Like usually you lose confidence in something because you feel doubt in your own abilities. That is probably one of the root causes of a lack of confidence. Like for instance, if you don't feel confident talking to girls, it's probably because you feel like you don't know how to do it very well, or you're going to get rejected and you're not very good at it, or confidence in your own self-esteem and stuff. So like the way to probably get better at it is to do it more, practice at it, you know, and then hopefully have some success at it, and then you're going to have more confidence in it. So I think the way to be better at being a dungeon, or the way to have more confidence as a dungeon master, is to learn more about it, study more about it, practice it, run more games, and then as you get better at it, you're going to do a better job, and that's going to make you have more confidence. So you have to just do it and get better at it, I think, is the way to get more confidence doing it. You know, it's just that's just the way it is. I don't have any good pep talk for you, dude. It's gonna make you feel better overnight and get back in the game. You know, I think it's just you gotta work at it. As you get better, you will feel more confident doing it. Why did you give platform to that guy? It was, in my perception, universally considered wrong and reactionary without even being controversial. No, were you here for the live stream? Did you listen? He hit a lot of good points. He had a lot of good points. I think a lot of people were giving really hot takes on that, what he was saying, and they weren't considering some stuff. Like go back and watch the video. I think it'll be apparent why I read through that. Because I think a lot of the things that I have seen on it, people were not giving it a fair consideration, and they weren't considering some of these points. And people were just throwing it. People were just having. I think the actual article was well thought out and had some really good points. I think a lot of people's videos that were reacting to the article were reactionary and were hot takes, and were not necessarily considering some of the points from point of view of business, maybe a little bit of a business point of view. It was just kind of like, oh no, the golden Zoe. My dog's hacking something up over here. So I think some of the reactions I've seen to that article were, TTRPG's golden age. It's amazing right now because we got all these options and stuff, and everything's doing well and stuff. And that's not the point. The point is that right now things look great, but what is the future going to look like? You know. And I think there are some things to consider, and we don't know the full answer to that, but there is the potential that what's happening now could, over the next 10 to 15 years, have some repercussions, right? And I think there were some good points in there. And I think most of people's reactions are just throwing it out of hand and saying, "Oh no, that's not true." So I don't know about that. It sounds like he swallowed a kazoo. Yeah, it was phlegm. She was like hacking up phlegm, basically. Yeah. Where did you get the t-shirt? I got the t-shirt. It's my t-shirt. I paid somebody to make this for LairCon. It was last year's LairCon? Yeah. Would you ever showcase a TTRPG system made by an amateur? Give me a compelling reason to do that. Here's the thing. For me to do that, this is what I would have to do. I would have to read through it to believe that it was good, and then I'd have to showcase it. So you're asking me for a massive time commitment that could have, like, I could read through 20 game systems made by amateurs, and before I found one of them that was good enough to share with people, because I don't want to share garbage with people. Like, I have to make sure that something is of a certain amount of quality before I'm going to share with people. Otherwise, why am I going to tell people about a product that's bad, right? So like, I'd have to read through a ton of them to find one that I think is good enough to share it with people, you know? And that's a huge time commitment, a massive time commitment. I don't have time for that. So it's more of like a time thing. Like, who has time to read through tons? Yeah. So time is going to kill that right there, you know? My 5e party just tried OSE, and it certainly proved how 5e has trained players who have an illusion of death that doesn't really exist. Yeah. Oh, OSE is lethal, right? Fifth edition, it's hard to die in fifth edition. You gotta try. You gotta try to die if you want to die in fifth edition. Do you think Chris Cox and Cynthia Williams will be let go because of everything they have done? And do you think they will hire new people that now the IPs and more? I think this is what's going to happen. So Chris Cox is executives typically don't stay at company. It depends on the company, but it's a pretty normal thing for executives to hop companies every 3 years or so. Like you stay at a company, you do some stuff, you build up your resume and your list of accomplishments, and then you hop to a different company because you can make more money that way. Like if you stay at this is just standard business. This is just standard career stuff. If you stay at a company long term, your salary and earnings are going to lag way behind a person who jumps from company to company every 3 years or so. It's the best thing you can do is to keep changing companies and stuff. And CEOs do this, not CEOs, but executives, like C-suite folk do this all the time. You know, you stay at a company about 3 years, you do some stuff, you do some work, and then you jump somewhere else. So Chris Cox is going to be jumping to a different company almost assuredly. Cynthia Williams came from Microsoft, if I'm not mistaken, and she was brought on to help develop the digital side of things. I could be mistaken. Don't quote me on that. And she's only been there, what, a year or two or something? So she's going to be there for a little bit. Eventually, she's going to hop somewhere else. It's just, this is what C-suite usually does in companies. So I don't, if it's going to be, I don't know that they would actually, probably wouldn't come across as being fired. It would probably be that they've left to pursue other interests and they go to a different company that hires them, you know? But I think C-suite has a good way of spinning things, right? And they have friends and connections and stuff like that. I don't know if their heads would roll, is what I'm getting at. I don't know that that would happen. I know this would be a lot to ask, but would you ever be open to coaching for a new DM? That's like a one-on-one time commitment that I can't do. Like literally, that's why I make videos, because videos are a way, videos and blog posts and stuff are a way for me to take my limited amount of time and multiply it over as many people that can watch those videos and consume that content. A one-on-one coaching thing is like my limited amount of time coaching one person, which means that will I help that person? Sure, but I'm having minimal impact in the wider scheme of things. Whereas if I take my time and I create a blog post or I create a video, I'm reaching thousands of people and helping thousands of people. So it's an exponentially better use of my time to create content that can be consumed by many more people as opposed to just one person. And so, and just as a business model, I try to create products and services that scale, right? And when you're just a one person doing one-on-one coaching or services, it doesn't scale. It doesn't scale worth a crap. It doesn't scale, you know? So I don't do that. And quite frankly, I would have to charge so much for it to be worth my time that nobody in their right mind would pay it. It would never happen. It just can't happen. All right, I think we're done, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to draw the winner to the giveaway, and then we're out of here. Winner to the giveaway. Winner to the giveaway. Winner to the giveaway. Dungeon Coach, timeout. Yeah. I love Dungeon Coach. He's my friend. He's my bud. All right, here we go. All right. The winner to the giveaway is Eric from Cleveland, Ohio. Eric from Cleveland, Ohio. I will send you an email and we will get you hooked up with some DM Lair store credit. You can get some cool crap. Yay! How long will Hazard Wizard Coast last with everything that's been happening to them last year and the previous years? I don't know. This next year is gonna be the deal. If they cannot turn their crap around this year, they're gonna be in big trouble, and stuff's gotta happen because their stock prices are down so low. They've already laid off what 20% of their workforce. Like, good gravy, man! If they can't turn things around, they're in big trouble. I bet Wizards of the Coast gets spun off this year. You know, I don't know. the thing is that if Hasbro spins off Wizards of the Coast, that means that's death for all of their other properties, because most of their other properties are losing money. Wizards of the Coast is like the life support for all of their IP. Power Rangers, My Little Princess Pony or whatever, Transformers and all this stuff. Like Wizards of the Coast is what's propping up the entire company. So spinning Wizards of the Coast off would kill everything else. So I don't think that that's something. It doesn't seem like Hasbro would do that willingly, right? It seems more likely that Hasbro is in such dire straits that they have to sell stuff, and somebody might come along with a tender offer for Wizards of the Coast or D&D or something, and then buy it, maybe. But then again, you have the same problem. What's propping up their company is being sold, which might give them enough capital coming in to prop up their company to try to do something to those brands to make them profitable. So that's feasible, I suppose. So I think it's more likely that somebody would buy a property to make than opposed to spinning off Wizards of the Coast. I don't think they would do that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're done. I'm leaving. Goodbye. Have a nice night. Hope you've had fun and stuff. And if you didn't, just lie to me and make me feel good. I gotta find the buttons. I can't find the buttons. It's hard. Working here is hard. Okay, bye.